Chapter 261. Jun Haoyin's cultivation technique was the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant. Currently, Jun Haoyin had awakened a total of 4 million mammoth seeds in his body, and his divine power was boundless. How could a mere demon king Bo Sun's pressure suppress him? Moreover, the ancient mammoths had swept across the galaxy, carried the sun, and suppressed the endless hell. How could a mere demon king Bo Sun suppress him? At this moment, facing demon king Bo Sun, Jun Haoyin's face revealed a slight smile. Then Jun Haoyin's strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant began to circulate. Suddenly, the faintly discernible pressure that demon king Bo Sun exerted on Jun Haoyin disappeared. It was as if it had never appeared. Originally, when demon king Bo Sun saw that the pressure had increased to 70%, Jun Haoyin finally reacted, and a look of joy appeared on his face. However, before he could rejoice for long, he sensed that the pressure on Jun Haoyin's body had suddenly disappeared. Suddenly his face froze. This scene caused him to be extremely surprised and bewildered. Then Demon King Bo Sun directly activated all of his power and violently swept towards Jun Haoyin, trying to forcibly suppress Jun Haoyin. However, the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant in Jun Haoyin's body continued to circulate, and all of the pressure was directly suppressed. At this moment, even Demon King Bo Sun suffered a backlash, and the rebound of his power caused his blood and chi to become somewhat chaotic. Seeing this scene, Demon King Bo Sun looked at Jun Haoyin with an incomparably shocked expression. His eyes were filled with disbelief. As everyone knew, Jun Haoyin was just a mere immortal longevity stage existence. A mere immortal longevity stage existence was nothing in his eyes. Even at this moment, Demon King Bo Sun's strength had not fully recovered. With his current strength, it was only a matter of time before he returned to his peak. Humph. Seeing this scene, Demon King Bo Sun directly laid out his cards. He slowly stretched out his hand, and an extremely powerful and endless force came out from Jun Haoyin's body. Under the influence of this monstrous power, the entire ancient temple shook, as if it could not withstand such a great power. If one were to look down from the top of the mountain where the temple was located, one would see a violent storm rising from the temple and sweeping across the entire abyss. The thin devil chi in the entire abyss surged, its momentum shaking the heavens and the earth. Such a terrifying scene was something that even a peak undying world king would be shocked by. In the temple, Jun Haoyin, who was facing Demon King Bo Sun, was the first to bear the brunt of the pressure. It was as if a violent storm was coming from the front. Although he had 8,400,000 mega mammoth cells, which gave him boundless god power, he still couldn't stand up straight. After circulating the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth a few times, he finally stabilized himself. It seemed like Demon King Bo Sun was preparing to make his move. Seeing this, Jun Haoyin sneered inwardly. Then he immersed his mind into the furnace in his body. Chiyu, it's your turn. He wanted to see what kind of expression Demon King Bo Sun would have when he saw Chiyu, the demon ancestor, coming. Chiyu replied excitedly when he heard Jun Haoyin's words. After being sealed in Jun Haoyin's body for so long, he finally saw the light of day. Although it was only for a short time and he would be sealed again, he could not help but feel excited. Moreover, he felt that teaching Bo Sun a lesson was very interesting. Jun Haoyin communicated with the fragment in his body and drew it out. Ever since he used the fragment to seal Chiyu on Mount Tai, the fragment had been used by him. He didn't know what material it was made of, but it was able to seal Chiyu without worrying that Chiyu would escape from it. It could be seen that it was also a treasure. An inconspicuous fragment, with runes engraved on its surface, appeared in front of Jun Haoyin and floated in mid-air. Demon King Bo Sun released all of his power and was about to attack Jun Haoyin. He wanted to kill this human who dared to mock him. Suddenly he saw the fragment floating in front of Jun Haoyin. It's already so late. What's the use of this small fragment? Demon King Bo Sun was puzzled. However, judging from the appearance of the fragment, it could actually float peacefully in the void under his full power. Perhaps it was a rare treasure. His face was slightly happy. Since it was a treasure, it naturally belonged to him. He reached out his hand and grabbed the fragment in front of Jun Haoyin. After observing it for a while, Demon King Bo Sun was even more surprised. This fragment was neither gold nor wood. It had a texture similar to a stone. A trace of interest arose in his heart, and he wanted to continue observing it. However, at this moment, a trace of black fog floated out from the fragment. It slowly condensed on the fragment as if it was condensing into something. Seeing this scene, Demon King Bo Sun was stunned. He actually felt a trace of a very familiar power towards this black fog. It was as if he had seen it somewhere before. However, what made him very puzzled was that he couldn't recall it at the moment. In front of the altar, Jun Haoyin's body was motionless. Looking at Bo Sun's stunned expression while holding the fragment, he felt a little amused. Demon King Bo Sun would never have thought that this black fog was demon ancestor Qiyu, and the thing that was slowly condensing was Qiyu's image. Of course, this image was naturally not Qiyu's actual body. It was only a portion of Qiyu's power that was released. If Jun Haoyin wanted to, he could reseal this portion of power back into the fragment at any time. In other words, the power that was released could only act according to Jun Haoyin's wishes. If the slightest bit of malicious intent appeared, it would immediately be resealed by Jun Haoyin. Qiyu was really too important. Jun Haoyin would definitely not release Qiyu's origin power so easily. At this moment, Jun Haoyin calmly crossed his arms and looked at Demon King Bo Sun. Demon King Bo Sun seemed to be certain that Jun Haoyin had little chance of escaping from his hands. After obtaining the fragment, he actually ignored Jun Haoyin and locked a strand of his consciousness on Jun Haoyin to prevent Jun Haoyin from escaping. After that, he began to study the fragment in his hand. However, the more he studied it, the more he was amazed. Then, under his curious gaze, the fog that spread out from the fragment actually formed a humanoid figure as it curled around it. Moreover, as time passed, the human figure became clearer and clearer. Along with the body, a face condensed. The aura of the demon ancestor, whose confidence, soft laughter and disdain for everything in the world also surfaced. That aura, as well as that familiar gaze, locked onto Demon King Bo Sun's body. It was as if a basin of water was suddenly splashed on Demon King Bo Sun's head. The interest in his heart was instantly extinguished. At the same time, a trace of panic appeared in his heart. The Demon King held the fragment in his hand. Around the fragment, the fog spread out and condensed into Qiyu's body. Qiyu was the demon ancestor. When he was in the divine realm, he was Demon King Bo Sun's superior. Now that Qiyu suddenly appeared in Bo Sun's hands, how could Demon King Bo Sun not panic? Bo Sun, do you still recognize me? Qiyu looked at Bo Sun's panicked appearance and sneered. You are the demon ancestor. Looking at Qiyu, Demon King Bo Sun's face was filled with shock and unnaturalness as he spoke in disbelief. Looks like you still know who I am. Hearing Demon King Bo Sun's words, Qiyu seemed to be satisfied as he nodded his head. Then he wanted to continue speaking, but Bo Sun was one step ahead of him and interrupted him. Demon ancestor, why are you in this strange fragment? Could it be that your demon form is also sealed? Bo Sun seemed to be puzzled as he asked. Hearing this, Qiyu glanced at Bo Sun and said indifferently, That's right. I'm still sealed in this fragment and can't come out. During this period of time, my origin is a little weak. Just nice I can borrow your origin. Bo Sun, it's time for you to contribute. Hearing this, Bo Sun's expression became somewhat conflicted. The light in his eyes began to flicker. Naturally, he knew what Qiyu's words meant. Borrowing his origin naturally meant that he had to contribute his origin for Qiyu to restore himself. However, after the origin was absorbed, Bo Sun would also directly lose most of his power. The origin was the most important thing to the immortals. Without the origin, the immortals could not continue to exist. Why, Bo Sun? Don't tell me you don't want to contribute your origin? Qiyu seemed to not be surprised by Bo Sun's reaction. He looked at Bo Sun with a cold smile. Not far away, Jun Haoyin was also very interested in this scene. One was the sealed demon ancestor, and the other was the demon king who had just awakened. Whether the two would return to their previous superior-subordinate relationship, and whether Bo Sun would still listen to Qiyu's words, was a question. At this moment, Bo Sun's expression was conflicted, and a trace of unwillingness appeared in his eyes. He had just awakened and had a bright future ahead of him. Was he going to contribute his origin as if he was committing suicide? He was unwilling and very unwilling. Looking at the fragment in his hand and Qiyu who was on it, a trace of strange light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Originally, he had joined the demon clan not for other things, but to become stronger and finally attain Dao fruit. At this moment he would absolutely not hand over his family's life so easily. Moreover, Qiyu was now sealed and did not seem to have the ability to do anything to him. The more he thought about it, the more he did not want to continue listening to Qiyu's orders. Looks like you have already made your choice. Qiyu looked at Bo Sun's moonlight and was not surprised at all. He immediately sneered. When he had taken Bo Sun into the demon clan, he had already seen through Bo Sun's character. He had only taken him in casually and had not paid much attention to him. This was because he knew that since Bo Sun could join the demon clan for benefits, there would be a day when he would betray the demon clan for benefits. And that day had finally arrived. It seemed that Bo Sun had seen that he was sealed and thought that he could not do anything to him. If that was really the case, then Bo Sun would have some strange phenomena. This was because although the fragment had sealed Chi Yu, the one who had excavated it was Jun Haotian. As long as Jun Haotian agreed to release his power, he would definitely be able to suppress Bo Sun. Demon ancestor, since you want me dead, then don't blame me. Bo Sun pinched the fragment, and a trace of viciousness suddenly appeared in his eyes. He knew that he had to strike first to gain the upper hand. Suppressing Chi Yu first would prevent any undue delay. In the next moment, the power in Bo Sun's body surged crazily, and then swarmed out from his hands. This power was like a serene tremor, and it had an aura very similar to the demonic aura. This was the power that Bo Sun had refined using the non-biochemical demonic technique. Even in the divine world, this kind of power was considered top-notch. This was the technique that Chi Yu had imparted to him. He would let the power from the technique that Chi Yu had imparted to him destroy Chi Yu. As Bo Sun thought this, the power in his body surged out towards the fragment in his hands, and it was about to drill into the fragment. This power was filled with a chaotic aura. If it were to enter the mind of an ordinary person, it would only take an instant to turn him into an idiot. This was the method that Bo Sun had thought of to directly destroy Chi Yu's divine soul. Chi Yu felt the power swarming towards his body and he sneered. This Bo Sun had finally made a move on him. He knew Bo Sun very well, and he was least afraid that Bo Sun would make a move on him. As for that chaotic power, not only did Chi Yu not block or evade it, he allowed it to enter the fragment and bombard his origin. After bombarding his origin, this chaotic power that was about to destroy Chi Yu's origin suddenly changed, and it turned into an aura that was exactly the same as his origin. Then it was devoured by his origin. Chi Yu felt that his origin had become much stronger, and his expression was joyful, as if he was enjoying it very much. Just when Chi Yu had absorbed the power that he had injected into the fragment, Bo Sun's expression suddenly changed to one of bewilderment. He saw that when he had injected power into the fragment, Chi Yu did not feel any pain. Instead, he was enjoying it very much. His heart was suddenly filled with bewilderment, and he stopped his actions. What? Why aren't you continuing? Chi Yu looked at Bo Sun and a trace of ridicule appeared on his face. Since I, the demon ancestor, want you to offer your origin naturally no matter what, you can't escape. You better not waste your time. Chi Yu's face was somewhat proud. The reason why he could absorb Bo Sun's power was actually very simple. It was not because his realm was higher, but because the cultivation technique that he had bestowed upon Bo Sun, the innate demon transformation technique, was originally a part of his own cultivation technique. Wait for the king to say. All these years, Bo Sun had been the storage of his power, helping him to cultivate. When he had taken Bo Sun in to join the demon clan, he had already planted a good pen. No matter what, Bo Sun had escaped from his control. He wanted to see how Bo Sun would react. You did something to my cultivation technique? Bo Sun swept his gaze over Chi Yu, frowning as he spoke. Being able to cultivate to the divine king realm, he was naturally not stupid. With just a short observation, he directly saw through the reason. After a short observation, he gritted his teeth and increased the power output. This time, he didn't want to destroy Chi Yu's divine soul. Instead, he wanted to destroy the fragment together with Chi Yu. Chapter 262. Frenzied dermic powers swarmed the surface of the fragment. A huge pressure descended on the fragment, intending to crush it into powder. If the fragment was really crushed into powder, Chi Yu would not be able to escape. Instead, he would be annihilated in the space within the fragment due to the huge pressure. However, in the face of Bo Sun's actions, Jun Haotian and Chi Yu were not worried at all. If the Demon King Bo Sun's dermic powers were enough to shake the fragment that Shenyuan had sealed Chi Yu, it would not have been sealed. If that was the case, the fragment wouldn't have sealed Chi Yu for so many years without him being able to escape. Therefore, the two of them did not make any other moves. They just watched Bo Sun calmly as he made his move on the fragment. Then, under their mocking gazes, Bo Sun used up half of his dermic powers, but was unable to shake the fragment at all. Jun Haotian shook his head. He could not help but sympathize with the Demon King Bo Sun. He was actually being toyed with by Chi Yu. Alright Chi Yu, stop playing around. Absorb Bo Sun directly. After watching for a while, Jun Haotian suddenly lost all interest and said impatiently. They had spent a lot of time in this abyss. Subduing the Demon King Bo Sun was not difficult at all. Chi Yu was the demon ancestor and had absolute pressure on Bo Sun. Even Jun Haotian's strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant was a nemesis to Bo Sun. It was also the nemesis of demons like Bo Sun. No matter how Bo Sun struggled, he could not escape the fate of death. Jun Haoyin directly released some of the dermic powers that sealed Chiyu. All right. Chiyu was a little helpless when he heard that. He had finally come out and wanted to play for a while more. However, Jun Haoyin was a little impatient. He directly operated the demonic arts in his body. His body outside the fragment became a little more obvious. This was the power released by Jun Haoyin. However, Chiyu's origin was still in the fragment and could not escape. He communicated with the non-biochemical demonic arts in Bo Sun's body and directly sealed Bo Sun's body. Bo Sun, who was trying to crush the fragment, suddenly paled. He actually felt that he had lost all connection with the magic power in his body. Before he could do anything, many tentacle-like hands darted out from Chiyu's silhouette, waving in the air. These demonic hands directly wrapped around Bushuan's body and pulled him into the fragment. Bo Sun's face suddenly changed. If he allowed these devil hands to pull him into the fragment and face Chiyu, then even if he had 10 lives, it would not be enough. He had to get rid of these evil hands. However, no matter what method Bo Sun used, it was useless to get rid of these demonic hands. Due to the suppression of Chiyu's demonic technique, he couldn't use any of his abyssal demonic techniques. Instead, he could still use some of the Buddhist techniques that he cultivated in the divine world. Bo Sun quickly operated the Buddhist techniques in his body. However, all these years he had been cultivating the demonic technique and neglected the Buddhist techniques. Even though he tried his best to operate them, his body only emitted a trace of golden Buddha light. This Buddha light was too weak. When it exploded, it didn't even have the strength of the immortal realm. It had no effect on Chiyu's demonic hands. Instead, it seemed to have angered these demonic hands, causing them to dance crazily and pull him into the fragment at a faster speed. On the contrary, it became faster. After struggling for a long time, there was no result at all. Bo Sun couldn't help but reveal a trace of despair. Perhaps my decision to betray Buddhism and join the demon clan was wrong from the beginning. He recalled the past events and his heart was filled with regret. However, no matter how much he regretted, he couldn't change the fact that he was walking towards death step by step. Under Jun Haoyin's gaze, Bo Sun approached the fragment and turned into a dark mist like Chiyu, entering the fragment. At the same time, Jun Haoyin directly resealed Chiyu's power, confining it in the space of the fragment. It couldn't leak out anymore. The image of Chiyu on the fragment also disappeared, as if it had never existed in the first place. Jun Haoyin waved his hand at the fragment and retrieved it. Then he directly put it into the furnace in his dantian, wrapping it with layers of furnace divine flame to prevent it from escaping. Inside the fragment, after seeing Bo Sun's body enter the fragment, Chiyu's body instantly turned into a hungry wolf and a fierce tiger. He turned into a giant beast, biting and tearing at Bo Sun's body. Facing Chiyu's devouring, Bo Sun, who should have resisted, didn't move at all. He just stared blankly at the space inside the fragment, his eyes blank. He had already given up the hope of survival and was prepared to die. Under such circumstances, Chiyu didn't hesitate to devour everything about Bo Sun. Bo Sun's bones were crushed, and his skin was torn apart. Everything about him was devoured by Chiyu. In the end, even a strand of hair couldn't escape the fate of being devoured, turning into Chiyu's most original power. After devouring Bo Sun, Chiyu seemed to have eaten his fill, burping contentedly. Then he sat cross-legged in the fragment space, intending to refine Bo Sun's original power. Chiyu, don't forget about my 90% original power. At this time, Jun Haoyin's faint voice rumbled in the fragment space, entering Chiyu's ears. Previously, Jun Haoyin and Chiyu had an agreement. Chiyu helped him subdue the sealed demon king, and the original power he obtained would be divided into 90%. Jun Haoyin would get 90% while Chiyu would only get 10%. To Chiyu, of course, it was very unfair. However, Chitu's life was in Jun Haoyin's hands, so Chiyu had no other choice. If he didn't agree with Jun Haoyin, he wouldn't even get 10% of the original power, and he would have to suffer the pain of being burned by the divine flame every day and night. Of course, I won't forget about the Saint Lord's part. Chiyu didn't open his eyes as he replied to Jun Haoyin. Jun Haoyin frowned slightly when he heard that. Chiyu's tone didn't give him the feeling that he was respectful like before. Could it be that after absorbing Bo Sun's original power, his ambition had grown? Suddenly, Jiangli felt a sense of danger. In the future, he and Chiyu would have many opportunities to cooperate. In many areas he would need Chiyu's help. Although only 10% of the benefits were given to Chiyu in the end, Chiyu was indeed constantly recovering. Once he recovered to a certain extent, it was inevitable that Chiyu would have other thoughts. Bo Sun fell into deep thought as his eyes flickered. If he didn't want Chiyu to break free, apart from not letting Chiyu absorb the original power so easily, the easiest way was to strengthen himself. The stronger he was, the stronger the power of the fragment that sealed Chiyu would be. This was the only way to break free from Chiyu. As time passed, Jun Haoyin's desire to improve his strength increased by another level. After pondering for a moment, Jun Haoyin turned to look at the ground beside him. There Jinluan Arhat's face was pale. He had even fallen unconscious. When Demon King Bo Sun had exerted pressure on Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Arhat had fainted and hadn't woken up until now. However, it seemed that Jinluan Arhat's face had turned ruddy, and he looked like he would wake up soon. Jiang Ran went forward to push Di Rulai, waking him up. "Saint Lord." Di Rulai woke up in a daze. He glanced at Jiang Chen blankly, then looked around. He remembered that he was facing the Buddha demon and fainted because he couldn't withstand the pressure. In an instant he was woken up by Jiang Ran. He was so shocked that he jumped up. He looked around and said nervously, "Saint Lord, where is Buddha demon Bo Sun?" He was still confused about the current situation. Jiang Xiao, who had disappeared from 6YW, answered casually. Di Rulai was shocked when he heard this. He understood the meaning behind Jiang Chen's words. Buddha Kong Bo Sun was so strong. He wouldn't disappear for no reason. Besides him and Jiang Chen, there was no one else here. He thought that Buddha demon Bo Sun must have been killed by Jiang Chen when he was in a deep sleep. He had died. Although Buddha demon Bo Sun had the strength of an immortal realm expert when he woke up, Di Rulai knew that Jiang Chen's strength wasn't ordinary. Jiang Chen's strength couldn't be calculated with common sense. Therefore he didn't doubt that Jiang Chen had killed Buddha demon Bo Sun. Wang Shi and Di Rulai looked at Jiang Chen with even more admiration. One should know that Buddha demon Bo Sun was an immortal realm expert. Because he was an ancient expert who had been sealed for many years, he might be even stronger than an ordinary immortal realm expert. But even so, he was still killed by Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's strength was like a veil in Di Rulai's eyes. He couldn't see through Jiang Chen's strength. Jiang Chen glanced at Di Rulai and knew what Di Rulai was thinking. Di Rulai had misunderstood Jiang Chen. If Jiang Chen were to deal with the Buddha demon Bo Sun himself, although his strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant was the nemesis of the Buddha demon Bo Sun, it would still be very troublesome to subdue him. Even if he could successfully subdue him, it would take a long time. It might take a lot of time. However, even so, Jiang Chen didn't have the slightest intention to explain. Secondly, there was nothing left to explore here. Buddha demon Bo Sun had already fallen. This place had become an empty abyss. Jiang Chen and Di Rulai were about to leave immediately. Just as they were about to leave the temple, the two of them passed through the hall filled with corpses once more. Di Rulai couldn't bear to see the corpses of Nalanda's monks again. He sighed and said Buddha's name. "Holy Lord, I'll bring these corpses back to Buddhism for burial." Di Rulai looked at Jiang Chen and said, "That's how it is." Jiang Chen nodded. Wan Jin had no objections. Among them were divine monk Jiewu and the others. He owed them a debt of gratitude. Bringing the electric wonderworm back to Anji Di might be the best way to cure it. Di Rulai excused himself. Di Rulai waved his hand. He put the sun physiques into his spatial item and brought them back to the Great Lane Temple. If nothing else, the Great Lane Temple would regard these monks as heroes who had fought against the demonic Tao. They would be buried with the highest of honors. After Di Rulai put away the corpses, Jiang Chen glanced at the bloodstains on the ground. After thinking for a moment, he directly used his dermic powers to condense a dermic flame and waved it towards the Great Hall. When the dermic flame was released, the dermic flame expanded with the wind, instantly becoming incomparably large and surging. They could burn in the hall. Under the high temperature of the flames, the bloodstains that had been left behind were all burned away, revealing the shiny floor and walls. Jiang Chen casually glanced at them. He was about to withdraw the flames. Official 0. Suddenly Jiang Chen seemed to see something. He was bewildered. "What's wrong, Holy Lord 2? Di Rulai was puzzled. "There's something strange about the ground and walls." Hinksisari Jiang Chen answered offhandedly. The flames he'd released weren't ordinary flames, but extremely hot ones. Even a hard piece of meteoric iron would be melted into a puddle of molten water. However, the ground and walls of the temple were becoming smoother and smoother under the heat of Jiang Chen's flames. There were no signs that they were about to be burned. This was extremely strange. Is it the name? Rulai looked at the flames in the Great Hall in shock. Indeed, there were no traces of the flames being burned. Jiang Chen looked at the great door and the chains hanging above it. After a moment of thought, he released a ball of flames. He released it. It attached itself to the great door and the chains. Under the heat of the flames, the great door and the chains hanging above it didn't burn. Instead, they shone even brighter. Even the rust on the chains was falling off bit by bit. The 3 dilapidated temples were also burned by the flames of the Dharma flames. It slowly recovered. In the blink of an eye, it looked brand new. Could it be that this Qi temple and the palace in Mount Tai are treasures? Jiang Chen's eyes lit up when he saw this. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. He released the flames in a frenzy. The flames soared. They engulfed the entire temple. Under Di Rulai's astonishment, the tattered temple became brighter and brighter. The flame grew brighter and brighter. In the end, the luminous king rice was clearly an extremely precious magic treasure. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. He saw a ray of brilliance covering the entire temple. This temple might not be as good as the palace on Mount Tai, but it shouldn't be much weaker. After all, it was an existence that sealed an immortal king. Jiang Chen was quite satisfied with this. Di Rulai, who was in the 2nd chapter, was already dumbfounded. He had never thought that this dilapidated temple would actually be a magic treasure. It wasn't that he hadn't seen a treasure like this before. It was just that it looked so tattered. It really made one unable to associate it with a treasure. Seeing Jiang Chen obtain such a precious treasure, Di Rulai's eyes were filled with envy. "Congratulations, Saint Lord. You've obtained a precious treasure," Di Rulai said with envy. Chapter 263. Jiang Chen fell into deep thought. For bulls. Chingu. Chingu. In order to prevent Qiyu from escaping, apart from not allowing Qiyu to absorb the origin, the easiest way was to strengthen his own strength. The stronger he was, the stronger the fragment that sealed Qi would be. That was the only way. That was the only way to free Qiyu. For a moment, Jiang Chen's desire to increase his strength rose to another level. After thinking for a moment, he turned to look at the ground. There Di Rulai's face was pale. He was unconscious. When Buddha Demon Bo Sun exerted pressure on Jiang Chen and Di Rulai fainted. Fang Zhi hasn't woken up yet. However, it seemed that Di Rulai's complexion had become much rosier. It didn't seem like he would wake up soon. He looked like he was about to wake up. Jiang Hua came forward and pushed Di Rulai, waking him up. "Holy Lord." Di Rulai woke up in a daze. He glanced at Jiang Chen in a daze and then looked around. He remembered that he was facing Buddha Demon Bo Sun. He couldn't withstand the pressure and fainted. In an instant he was awakened by Jiang Hua. He jumped up in fright. He looked around and asked nervously, "Holy Lord, where is Buddha Demon Bo Sun?" He still didn't understand the current situation. Jiang Chen answered casually. When Di Rulai heard this, his expression changed drastically. He understood the meaning behind Jiang Chen's words. Buddha Demon Bo Sun was so strong. He wouldn't have disappeared for no reason. Besides him and Jiang Chen, there's no one else here. In his opinion, Jiang Chen must have killed Buddha Demon Bo Sun while he was asleep. He had died. Although Buddha Demon Bo Sun had the strength of an immortal realm expert when he woke up, Di Rulai knew that Jiang Chen's strength wasn't ordinary. Jiang Chen's strength couldn't be calculated with common sense. Therefore, he didn't doubt that Jiang Chen had killed Buddha Demon Bo Sun. Even more admiration surfaced in Di Rulai's eyes when he looked at Jiang Chen. Strength. Buddha Demon Bo Sun was an immortal realm expert. Moreover, because he was an ancient expert who had been sealed for many years, his actual strength might be even stronger than an immortal realm expert. But even so, it was still killed by Jiang Yi's use of the Dharma flames and dust. In Di Rulai's eyes, Jiang Chen's strength was shrouded in a veil that he couldn't see through no matter how hard he tried. Jiang Chen glanced sideways at Di Rulai. He knew what the latter was thinking. Di Rulai had misunderstood Jiang Chen. Although Jiang Chen's strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant was the nemesis of Buddha Demon Bo Sun, it would still be very troublesome to subdue him. Even if he succeeded in subduing him in the end, it would still take a long time to do so. It might take a lot of time. Even so, Jiang Chen had no intention of explaining himself. Secondly, there was nothing left to explore here. Buddha Demon Wave had already fallen. This place had become an empty abyss. Jiang Chen and Di Rulai decided to leave immediately. Just as they were about to leave the temple, the two of them once again passed through the hall filled with corpses. Amitabha. When Di Rulai saw the corpses of the people of Lantua Monastery again, he still couldn't bear to see them like this. He said, "Holy Lord, I'll take these corpses back to Buddhism for burial." Di Rulai looked at Jiang Chen and said, "That's how it should be." Jiang Chen nodded. Wan Jin didn't have any objections. Of these people, Divine Monk Awareness and the others. As for his book, he owed him a debt of gratitude. Rulai was the best way to bring them back to the great Thunderclap temple for burial. Rulai excused himself and waved his hand, storing the corpses into his storage item and bringing them back to the great Thunderclap temple for the afterlife. If nothing unexpected happened, these monks would be seen by the great Lightning Tune temple as heroes who fought against the demon path. They would be given the highest ancient character. After Rulai put away the corpses, Jiang Chen glanced at the bloodstains on the ground. After some thought, he condensed a flame with his energy and waved it towards the hall. When the flames were unleashed, they swelled with the wind, instantly becoming incomparably large and torrential. It could burn within the great hall. Under the high temperature of the flames, the blood stains that were left behind were all burned away, revealing the ground and walls that were glowing with brilliance. Jiang Chen waved his hand. He was about to withdraw the flame. Suddenly, Jiang Chen seemed to have seen something inconceivable, and he was bewildered. "What is it, Holy Lord?" Rulai was puzzled. He was puzzled. The ground and walls seemed to be strange. Jinx Red Dust answered casually. The flame he released was no ordinary flame. It was extremely hot. Even a hard piece of meteoric iron would be melted into a puddle of water. However, the ground and walls of the temple were becoming smoother and smoother under Jiang Chen's flame. There were no signs of them being burned away. This was extremely strange. Is it necessary? Rulai looked at the flames in the hall in shock. Indeed, there were no traces of it being burned away. Jiang Chen glanced at the great door and the chains above it. After a moment of thought, he released a ball of flame. He released it. He attached it to the great door and the chains. Then, under the burning of the flame, the great door and the chains hanging above it were burned away. Surprisingly, it wasn't burned down either. Instead, it was glowing even more brightly. Even the rust on the chains was falling off. XSW. The great door of the temple seemed to be broken down. Under the burning of the Dharma flames, his eyes slowly recovered. In an instant, Qinya's eyes had regained their original color. Can it be that this temple of Qi is the same as the palace in Mount Tai? Jiang Chen's eyes lit up when he saw this. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it was possible. Then he released the flame crazily. The flame soared. It engulfed the whole temple and burned fiercely. Then, under Rulai's astonishment, the shabby temple became brighter and brighter. Under the burning of the flames, the will became brighter and brighter. In the end, it became a dazzling imperial light. Clearly, it was an extremely precious magical treasure. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. Then 2 rays of light enveloped the whole temple and kept it. This temple might not be as good as the palace in Mount Tai, but it shouldn't be much weaker. Baizhang was also an existence that sealed an immortal king. Jiang Chen was rather satisfied with this result. Rulai had seen it for a long time. He was stunned. He didn't expect this shabby temple to be such a treasure. Unexpectedly, this shabby temple was also a treasure. It wasn't that he hadn't seen such a treasure before, but that shabby temple really made him unable to associate it with a treasure. Seeing that Jiang Chen had obtained such a precious treasure, Rulai's eyes were filled with envy. "Congratulations, Saint Lord. You have obtained a precious treasure," Rulai said enviously. However, Rulai only had admiration. Other than that, he didn't have any other thoughts. After Jiang Chen put away the treasure, he took another glance at the mountain range. There were no more Buddha demon Bo Sun and the other demon generals and demon soldiers. Even the temple on the mountain peak was taken away by Jiang Chen. This place had become an empty mountain range. There was nothing else left. Moreover, looking at this mountain range, it seemed to be an ordinary mountain range because of the temple's treasure. Because of its existence, it was slightly special. Now that the temple was taken away by Jiang Chen, this mountain range returned to normal. "Let's go," Jiang Chen said faintly, then flew towards Luang. The outer demonic abyss had been completely explored. There was value in remaining here. However, Jiang Chen still hadn't flown out of the courtyard after flying for thousands of miles. He seemed to be trapped. "It hasn't dissipated yet?" Rulai asked in surprise. Jiang Chen looked at his surroundings, which were dark and flickering. Suddenly, he circulated the devouring creation art in his body and absorbed the surrounding demonic energy. Dense demonic energy flowed through his body along with the energy in his body. It surged towards Hui Chen from afar, then entered Jiang Chen's body. It was absorbed by Jiang Chen. The demonic energy in the abyss decreased as well. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the formation was completely destroyed. Jiang Chen had completely absorbed the demonic energy within. Inside the originally dark space, it reveals the color of the exits of wisdom. Jiang Chen opened his eyes and looked around. However, to his surprise, Jiang Chen and Di Rulai continued to fly upwards for a few thousand miles after absorbing the devil qi. They were still stuck in the abyss and didn't leave the abyss. At this moment, Jiang Chen and Di Rulai were both in their hearts. Both were 10%. Could it be that the two of them were going to be trapped here and never be able to get out? It was at this moment that Jiang Chen saw a blur in the corner of his eye. A third, this blurry color was like a ripple on the surface of a calm water. This is the ripple of a formation. It won't be long before the barrier disappears. After sensing it for a while, Jiang Sheng felt a little like the lines in Gong Da Pu Hua's novels. The ripple was similar to the ripple produced when the protective formation in the Tai sacred land had dissipated. It seemed that with the fall of Buddha demon Bo Sun, the array formation in the abyss was also slowly dispersing. However, the speed at which it was dispersing was not as fast. It seemed that it would take some time. Moreover, because this formation had been set up by the Buddhist sects in the world of immortals, Jiang Chen knew it was a formation. Moreover, it was on the verge of breaking and dissipating. However, he couldn't find the source of it and couldn't use force to break it. He could only wait patiently. Seems like we need to stay here for a while, Jiang Chen said faintly. Let's stay here for a while. Since Buddha demon Bo Sun has already fallen, there's no danger here. Coincidentally, under the pressure of Bo Sun, my aura showed signs of a breakthrough. Why don't we cultivate here for a while? Di Rulai thought for a while and said inkinks. Gong Shangwei felt the abundant foundation in his body. He also felt the energy from absorbing a lot of demonic energy. Not only Di Rulai but he also needed to cultivate. They would stay here for a while. Soon after, Jiang Chen and Di Rulai returned to the bottom of the abyss. In the mountain range where the Buddha demon ripple was sealed, they casually found a mountain top and opened up two simple caves. Then they started to cultivate inside. In a stone room in the cave, Jiang Chen sat cross-legged with his heart closed. After calming down, he started to circulate the divine elephant overpowering force in his body. In an instant, Lu Ho's power surged through Jiang Chen's meridians like a raging river, forming a cycle within his body. As for mobilizing this energy, Jiang Chen didn't find it difficult at all. He was able to do it easily. He even felt that the energy surging in his meridians was far from the limit of what he could circulate. However, if he were to circulate more, his meridians might not be able to withstand it and break. Seems like after absorbing the demonic energy in the abyss, the foundation in my body has reached a terrifying level. Jiang Chen took it all in. His heart was in a daze. He had once absorbed the Western demonic qi in the abyss. The calm the first time was before entering the formation at the bottom of the abyss. He had absorbed all the demonic energy within 50,000 miles of the abyss. The second time was when he had absorbed the demonic energy from the bottom of the abyss. The amount of demonic energy he had absorbed both times was huge. Even Jiang Chen didn't know how much demonic energy he had absorbed. But now, all the demonic energy had been refined by the furnace in his body. It had merged into his limbs and bones, becoming his foundation. With a slight pull, endless amounts of energy flowed into him. The foundation contained in this had long reached an unknown level in the deep plains. Jiang Bu was in Rangguangyi's mind. He could use the foundation in his body to break through the bottleneck of the longevity realm. He would definitely be able to break through Song Po's lead and reach the realm of immortality in one fell swoop. He did as he thought. Jiang Chen circulated the divine elephant overpowering force with all his might. The river of energy in his body surged like a raging dragon, whistling through every inch of his flesh and blood. The feeling of a breakthrough lingered in his body, inside and outside his body. A breakthrough is a miraculous thing. It was as if there was a dam blocking the torrential Julie River, preventing the mana from continuing to flow forward. This dam should have been enough to stop Jiang Chen's breakthrough. But now, Jiang Chen's river of energy had become a raging river. In front of such a terrifying spiritual energy river, the river dam that blocked the path was only blocked for a moment before it was broken through by the spiritual energy river. Suddenly, a crisp sound rang out. A new second level of energy emanated from Jiang Ji's body as he sat cross-legged. This is a new level of immortality in the realm of will. At this level, even if Jiang Chen was killed, as long as there was a drop of blood left, he could be reborn. He could rise again. The vitality of a worker could be said to be extremely strong. This was truly, in a certain sense, reaching the realm of immortality and indestructibility. The reason it was called, in a certain sense, was because if an enemy was strong enough to protect you, they would never leave you alive. Chapter 264. You pervert. Not only do you have improper thoughts about my sister, but you also did those things to me. I'm going to kill you. Lu Fei took out the jade bow that she had used in the illusion. Whoosh 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 whoosh. 5 arrows whizzed out in a row. Su Yang couldn't do anything to such a fierce woman. He immediately used the star seal. He blocked all 5 arrows. What? You pervert can block 5 of my arrows? Let's see how you block 10 of my arrows. Lu Fei didn't want to give up. Whoosh 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 whoosh. 10 sharp arrows formed from spiritual power shot toward Su Yang in an instant. Whether it was speed or power, they were a level higher than the previous 5 arrows. Dragon Warrior Sword Technique. Boom boom boom. 10 purple lightning dragons fell from the sky. Once again Lu Fei's 10 arrows were all destroyed. Your strength? This made Lu Fei very surprised. With her cultivation at the peak of LV1 of the Earth Martial Realm, it should be easy for her to deal with a kid at LV7 of the Profound Martial Realm. She felt that the previous 5 arrows were overkill. She didn't expect Su Yang to block them so easily. But now, after she shot 10 arrows, they were still easily blocked by Su Yang. Wasn't this a little too strange? Lu Fei didn't believe it and continued to shoot arrows. But what surprised her was that Su Yang easily blocked them. This kid. Damn it. Lu Fei gritted her teeth. Fortunately, she didn't attack in the end. She directly said to Su Yang, "What's the relationship between you and my sister? She asked me to invite you to join the Hidden Dragon Alliance and now you're in the illusion." Su Yang sneered. So the Hidden Dragon Alliance invited him because of Lu Rian. You and your sister. Is the kind of relationship you're thinking of. Impossible. Why would my sister like a country boy like you? Lu Fei didn't believe him. Then you don't understand your sister at all. Why do you think your sister would ask you to invite me for no reason? To tell you the truth, this is love. But you're still young, so it's normal that you don't know this. Su Yang made up nonsense. Brat, who told you I'm still young? I'll be 16 in a year. Lu Fei said angrily. The thing she hated the most was people calling her small. You're small everywhere. I'll kill you. Then he charged towards Su Yang again. After all, Lu Fei was Rian Lu's sister. Naturally, Su Yang would not be cruel to her. Seeing that Lu Fei's little universe had erupted again, he was too lazy to continue wasting time with Lu Fei. He turned around and used the dragon's 9 steps, disappearing into the darkness of the dark forest. While leaving, Su Yang didn't forget to remind her, "Little girl, call me brother-in-law in the future, okay?" Before his voice died away, Su Yang's figure had already disappeared without a trace. Lu Fei had nowhere to go. How can this guy be so fast? Lu Fei was shocked again. Her curiosity and anger towards Su Yang multiplied. After getting rid of Lu Fei, Su Yang quickly found Wei Kuei in the misty area. At this time, Wei Kuei had also entered the dreamland. Looking at his expression of enjoyment, it seemed that he was deeply immersed in it and could not extricate himself. Seeing this, Su Yang immediately used a method to break the illusion to wake Wei Kuei up. Brother Longwu, thank you so much. If you hadn't woken me up, I would have been trapped in it forever. Wei Kuei was very grateful to Su Yang. If Lu Fei knew the scene in Wei Kuei's dreamland, she would definitely be furious. Because the reason why he was immersed in the dreamland was because Lu Fei was inside. In the month since he came to the Taiching Palace, he had long been attracted to Lu Fei. You and I are a whole. There's no need to stand on ceremony. Su Yang waved his hand. The dark forest became more and more dangerous the further one went. Even though Su Yang had the god's eyes of destruction, he was careless several times. This time, a level 9 Shen beast suddenly jumped out. Su Yang originally wanted to tame it and use it to explore the way for him, but on second thought, it was best not to expose too many trump cards. So, he steeled his heart and directly killed the level 9 Shen beast. Su Yang and Wei Kuei also encountered a swamp, and Wei Kuei's body almost sank into it. Fortunately, Su Yang's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast. He pulled him out of the swamp and then went around the swamp. Just like that, more than an hour passed. The exit should not be far ahead. The two of them finally reached the last part of the first stage. As long as they found the exit of the dark forest, the two of them would become outer palace disciples. Regarding this, Wei Kuei was indescribably happy. He didn't dare to have extravagant hopes of becoming an inner palace disciple. He was already satisfied to become an outer palace disciple. He was very grateful to Su Yang from the bottom of his heart. He knew very well that if it wasn't for Su Yang, the dark forest would definitely be many times more difficult for him. It was very likely that he would have already been eliminated. However, what Su Yang and Wei Kuei didn't expect was that before they found the exit, they encountered 50 to 60 people. Among these 50 to 60 people, more than 30 of them were holding a sword in their hands. Wei Kuei recognized them at a glance. Wasn't this the Myriad Swords Alliance that had the most people in the Dark Forest? Su Yang remembered that there were 50 to 60 people in the Myriad Swords Alliance's team. He didn't expect that with so many people in the team, half of them would still be eliminated. From this, it could be seen that the Dark Forest was indeed very dangerous. Other than the 30 people from the Myriad Swords Alliance, there were more than 20 disciples that Su Yang and Wei Kuei didn't recognize. At this moment, all of these disciples were unwillingly being held hostage by the Myriad Swords Union. At this time, the Myriad Swords Alliance also saw Su Yang and Wei Kuei. But all of them suddenly laughed excitedly. One of the 250 pounds of fat young man said to Su Yang and Wei Kuei with a smile, "Friend, I have something to discuss with you too." Su Yang frowned. The exit of the Dark Forest was clearly in front of them. Why weren't the Myriad Swords Alliance leaving? Why were they holding the others hostage? If they passed the first stage earlier, wouldn't they be able to enter the second stage earlier and fight for a spot in the top 100 to become an Inner Palace disciple? With doubts in his heart, Su Yang looked ahead. Soon he found some clues. It turned out that the path ahead was shrouded in a poisonous fog. This poisonous fog had a great effect on the human body. If one rashly entered, it was very likely that they would be immediately poisoned and heavily injured, thus being eliminated. If they didn't pass through this poisonous fog, then they would have to take a long detour and waste a lot of time. It was very likely that they would have to retreat a certain distance. Seeing that the exit was right in front of them, the Myriad Swords Alliance naturally didn't want to take a detour and retreat. Fortunately, they soon found out that this poisonous fog wasn't invincible. As long as someone entered and breathed in the poison, the density of the poisonous fog would become thinner. Once it became thinner to a certain extent, they would be able to use their spirit energy to protect their body and safely pass through. Thus, they waited here for the foolish disciples to arrive. As long as they gathered enough people and sacrificed them in the poisonous fog, the Myriad Swords Alliance would be able to reap the benefits and swagger through the poisonous fog ahead. This wasn't right. He estimated that he was just short of 2 spendthrifts. Su Yang and Wei Kuei appeared in their line of sight. How could the Myriad Swords Alliance not be excited? Are you calling us friends? Do you think a fat pig like you is worthy of being friends with us? Su Yang's words were extremely shocking. Since he knew that they didn't have good intentions, Su Yang naturally didn't have any reason to be nice to them. The face of the fat disciple from the Myriad Swords Alliance immediately darkened. First, he hated it when people called him fat even though he really was fat. Second, he didn't think that he would have so many teammates behind him, while the other side only had 2 people, yet they still dared to be so arrogant. This made the disciple feel that he had lost a lot of face. He immediately didn't give Su Yang and Wei Kuei any face. "You 2 dogs, I gave you face but you don't want it? Since it's like this, then get the hell over here. Obediently follow these dregs into the poisonous fog." "Oh? You want us to get the hell over here? Do you have the qualifications? I'm going to stand here and not move. Let's see how you're going to make me get the hell over here." Su Yang crossed his arms and stared at the fat disciple without fear. His eyes and words were filled with contempt. This made the fat disciple even more furious. More importantly, Su Yang was only at the 7th level of the profound martial realm. Even among all the disciples in the entrance examination, this level of cultivation was at the bottom of the pile. This was no longer a matter of face. This was a matter of personal dignity. "I'm going to cripple you, you ungrateful guy, and then throw you into the poisonous fog. Let's see how you're going to resist." The fat disciple was boiling with anger. Before he finished speaking, his body had already moved. Like a fierce tiger coming out of the mountain, he threw out a punch, causing gusts of wind and even surging waves. Just stepped into the 9th level of the profound martial realm? With this little strength, I don't even need to use my hands and I can make you look for your teeth on the ground. Su Yang smiled mockingly. He stood in place, not moving an inch. Everyone was stunned. How could he make someone look for their teeth on the ground without using his hands? This kid really knew how to brag. But the next scene made everyone's jaws drop. Because the fat disciple's punch was clearly aimed at Su Yang's face. Even if it was an Earth martial realm martial artist at such a close distance, this punch would absolutely be impossible to dodge, but the fat disciple's punch actually missed. It almost brushed past Su Yang's cheek. After missing the punch, the fat disciple seemed to be too heavy and his whole body unconsciously tilted forward as if his body was too heavy and inertia was too great. Bang! After a series of tremors, the fat disciple actually fell down on his face. Everyone was stunned. What was going on? But they saw Su Yang kindly help the fat boy up. Brother, you're too careless. Even if you want to fight, you have to look at the ground. Did you trip over something? It's okay. You're still a man when you stand up. Let's do it again. As soon as these words came out, everyone was even more stunned. What did this kid want to do? What the hell did he mean by doing it again? While they were surprised and puzzled, the fat disciple who was very unconvinced had already stood up trembling. This time he stood in front of Su Yang and decided to take him by surprise. Before Su Yang finished speaking, his fist had already blasted out, still aiming at Su Yang's head. But the fist missed again. The fat disciple's body tilted forward again as if inertia was too great. Bang! There was still a crisp sound and a burst of earth shaking. The fat disciple fell down on his face again. Hey brother, why don't you have eyes? I told you to look at the ground when you fight. Did you trip over something again? Su Yang shook his head and sighed. Everyone was bewildered. The fat disciple clearly stood in place and punched. His feet didn't even move. How could he trip? But from the way he fell, it was obvious that he had tripped and fallen. What was going on? Speaking of this, Su Yang helped the fat disciple up again. Remember to look at the ground this time. Su Yang kindly reminded him. The fat disciple was unwilling to give up and attacked again. This time he even showed his long sword. But the long sword stabbed out. But it still missed. Then, the fat disciple's body still seemed to be tripped by something and fell heavily to the ground with a bang. It also made everyone's heart contract violently. What the hell? After 3 heavy falls, coupled with the fat disciple's body, the fat disciple even lost 2 front teeth. His mouth was full of blood. It was as if he was looking for his teeth on the ground. This kid can actually make him look for his teeth on the ground without making a move? My God, how did he do it? Everyone was extremely shocked. But only Su Yang knew. It was his shadowless kick that tripped the fat disciple. This shadowless kick didn't have any power. It was just that it was extremely fast. In his previous life he used it to tease and play with other great emperors. In this life, it was more than enough to play with a disciple in the 9th stage of the profound martial realm. Big brother, do you still want to cripple me? Su Yang went to help the fat disciple again. The fat disciple shook his head hard. This Su Yang was too strange. If he dared to make a move he would definitely fall to his death. As soon as he said this, Su Yang, who was halfway supporting the fat disciple, suddenly let go of his hand. Bang! The fat disciple fell to the ground again. His face was completely disfigured. But it wasn't over. Since you don't dare to cripple me, it's my turn to cripple you. Su Yang smiled mockingly. Su Yang directly lifted the fat disciple's feet. Suddenly, the fat disciple who was like a giant elephant was like a rag doll in Su Yang's hand. Bang! Su Yang lifted the fat disciple's body into the air and then slammed him to the ground. The fat disciple's face hit the ground and a crack appeared on the ground. Su Yang didn't stop. Bang! He lifted the fat disciple into the air again and slammed him to the ground. Everyone's hearts were about to explode. This is too fierce, isn't it? Then everyone saw the same scene in horror. That was, the fat disciple was lifted into the air and slammed to the ground. He was lifted into the air again and slammed down again. He was lifted into the air again and slammed down again. This repeated again and again. At first, the fat disciple screamed like an accompaniment, but after a dozen times, the fat disciple no longer made a sound. In the end, the fat disciple's body disappeared from Su Yang's hand. Everyone knew that the fat disciple was seriously injured and was directly eliminated by the dark forest formation. In other words, Su Yang, who was at the 7th stage of the profound martial realm, smashed a disciple at the 9th stage of the profound martial realm and eliminated him. This scene was simply too eye-catching. So much so that the rest of the Myriad Swords Alliance looked at Su Yang with a trace of fear in their eyes. Even the leader of the Myriad Swords Alliance, Li Jian, narrowed his eyes and his expression became slightly serious. Is there anyone else who wants to discuss something with us? If there is, then come forward. Of course, if you think that one person doesn't have the courage, I don't mind if all of you in the Myriad Swords Alliance come forward and discuss with us. Su Yang patted the dust off his body and said to the Myriad Swords Alliance members as if nothing had happened. The Myriad Swords Alliance members looked at each other, but no one spoke. Chapter 265. In fact, Jun Haoyan could even smell the scent of annihilation from it. Therefore, Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Arhat took advantage of this opportunity to use their movement skills to pass through the many spatial fragments. When they made it through, Jun Haoyin's eyes lit up. He looked up and saw a thin line in the sky. Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Arhat were at the bottom of the abyss. There was no trace of demonic aura in the abyss. Behind Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Arhat, there were countless cracks and collapses. Jun Haoyin looked back and saw the broken space. It seemed that they had really fallen into the strange space in the abyss. Under Jun Haoyin's watchful gaze, the entire space eventually collapsed. Everything within had disappeared without a trace. Even the mountain range where the temple's magical treasure was located had completely disappeared without a trace. From the looks of it, it had also been destroyed along with it. After watching for a while, Jun Haoyin stopped paying attention to it and flew toward the top of the abyss. Along the way, Jinluan Arhat couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought that Demon King Bo Sun, a member of the demon clan, was hiding in this abyss? More importantly, the Buddhists of the small Layin temple, whom the Buddhists had been worried about, were all dead. Jinluan Arhat couldn't help but sigh. When he returned to the Vajra temple, he had to explain the situation to the abbot. After that, he had to organize a grand expiation ceremony. Soon, Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Arhat left the abyss and came to the surface. Holy Lord, you have come to the western desert to help us solve this problem. Why don't you come to the Vajra temple? We will organize an expiation ceremony. Holy Lord, you have helped us get rid of Demon King Bo Sun. Our abbot will be very grateful to you. Jinluan Arhat put his hands together and invited Jun Haoyin. His invitation to Jun Haoyin came from the bottom of his heart. He had no ulterior motives. Of course, even if he had any evil intentions, he would need to have enough Buddhist strength first. Jun Haoyin was now in the immortal and undying realm. His strength was comparable to the martial god continent's immortal realm. He had many supreme emperor arts and supreme weapons. Some were even stronger than that. The world was vast and Jiang Chen could go anywhere he wanted. However, when Jun Haoyin heard this, he thought for a moment and shook his head. He had already spent a lot of time on this trip, so there was no need for him to go to the Titanium Temple. Instead, he wanted to return to the Langya sacred land to digest his gains from this trip to the abyss. As for going to the Vajra temple, forget about it. Waving his hand, Jun Haoyin was just about to refuse. Just then he saw two monks approaching from afar. He had already seen the two monks earlier. They seemed to be waiting for him here. When they saw the two of them, they quickly approached them as if there was something urgent. You're monks from the Titanium Temple. What's the matter? Jinluan Arhat looked at the two monks and asked curiously. Arhat, the abbot asked us to look for the Holy Lord of Langya. The two monks came forward and bowed respectfully. Looking for me? Jun Haoyin looked at the two monks, but he did not know why they were looking for him. However, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Holy Lord of Langya, our abbot asked us to inform you that the Langya sacred land is in trouble. The two monks said. Oh. Jun Haoyin's eyes narrowed when he heard this. No wonder he had a bad feeling. It turned out that the Langya sacred land was in trouble. Could it be that the people from the Qingyun sacred land had joined forces to deal with the Langya sacred land? A trace of coldness appeared in Jun Haoyin's eyes. Jun Haoyin had killed the Holy Lords and the Holy Sun from the Luotian sacred land, Qingyun sacred land, and Yaoguang sacred land. If he did not kill them last time, he would not mind killing them again. He would remove their sacred land from the martial god continent. A dangerous light flashed in Jun Haoyin's eyes. Did your abbot say what kind of trouble it is? Could it be the people from the Luotian sacred land? Jun Haoyin narrowed his eyes and asked calmly. However, to his surprise, the two monks shook their heads to indicate that they were not. Holy Lord, you've misunderstood. It's not the other sacred lands but the people from the other worlds. Long ago, the nine-headed dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan from the divine monster continent had descended from the world's barrier. Once they descended, they came straight for the Langya sacred land. They are now surrounding the entrance of the Langya sacred land and are about to attack the Langya sacred land. The two monks answered. After they finished speaking, they braced themselves and waited for Jun Haoyin's reaction. They were prepared to face Jun Haoyin's anger. However, to their surprise, Jun Haoyin was not too surprised. He was only slightly surprised. So it's not the people from the Luotian sacred land. It's the nine-headed dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan. Jun Haoyin's eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. He had expected that the two great demon clans would come to the Langya sacred land. After all, he had killed the Jiao demon king from the martial god continent. The nine-headed dragon clan in the martial god continent was just a branch of the nine-headed dragon clan in the divine monster continent. However, even though he had predicted that they would attack, he had never expected that this day would come so quickly. Could it be that the world's barrier has sped up the reduction of 2 in XSW? Jiang Qin guessed in his heart. Although he had never been to the world's barrier, he could guess it by asking around. Previously, when the world's barrier weakened, it welcomed many geniuses from the other worlds. And now, it was likely that even more powerful people were about to arrive. Hogong, but even so, what could he do? As long as it wasn't an ancient saint, he could still fight them with his strength. He was never afraid of a battle between two geniuses. Since they had offended his woman, they should be prepared to bleed. Jiang Chen's gaze flickered with coldness. Brother D, I may not be able to go to the Great Thunderclap Temple with you. Jiang Chen turned his head and spoke to Di Rulai. It's all right. The Tai sacred land is more important. Please go ahead, Holy Lord, 100 rebels. Emperor Rulai hurriedly replied. He still addressed Jiang Chen as Holy Lord. Although he was on good terms with Jiang Chen was still the Tai sacred land's Holy Lord. He was on the same level as the Great Thunderclap Temple. Jiang Chen nodded calmly, then looked in the direction of the Eastern Baron. He turned into a streak of light and sped away. Just as Jiang Chen was hurrying from the Buddhist land of Gaoxi to the Tai sacred land in the Eastern Baron, CPG Eastern Baron, Tai sacred land. At this time, thousands of figures were suspended in the void outside the Tai sacred ground, blocking the entrance of the Tai sacred ground. They all looked at the Greater One Holy Land with sharp eyes. The unfriendly look in their eyes, as well as the killing intent that soared into the sky, was self-evident. What was even more shocking was that although there were only a few thousand of them, they were enough to overwhelm the entire Tai sacred land. It was as if the Tai sacred land was no more than a chicken or dog in their eyes. They could kill it at any time. The reason for that was because these thousands of figures were all incredibly powerful. Just by floating in the air without any movement or expression, they exerted a great deal of pressure. Every one of them had a long breath, and their vitality was as vast as a river. It was obvious that they possessed an extremely high level of cultivation and power. Even the weakest among them exuded an aura of immortality. They were all experts at the immortal realm or above. Among the thousands of figures, there were number 8302 people whose strength was weaker than the immortal realm. It must be known that even in the Greater One Holy Land, there were only a few hundred elders and seas above the immortal realm. As for the immortal realm, there were even fewer, only a few dozen people. Among these floating figures, the most powerful one was faintly shaking the void, emitting a trace of the aura of an ancient saint. Only the existence of an ancient saint could possess such an aura. However, although this person had the aura of an ancient saint, the intensity of the aura was extremely weak. Obviously, he was not a true ancient saint, but an immortal realm expert who was half a step into the ancient saint realm. However, even though he was half a step into the ancient saint realm, he was still not an ordinary immortal realm expert. The combat strength that he could exert was enough to crush an immortal realm expert. Now this person narrowed his eyes slightly. His gaze was fixed on the Tai sacred land, exuding an astonishing killing intent. Even though the Tai Air Holy Land had already raised the sect-slapping formation, and the light of the formation was shining everywhere, and it seemed to have a terrifying power, but in his eyes, it was nothing at all. Elder Jin Hua, the people in the Tai sacred land are already doomed. When should we launch an attack and destroy them? At this time, a young man flew to the side of the golden-robed elder. He respectfully bowed and then asked with a little expectation. He had long been very interested in the operation of destroying a sacred land. He wanted to experience the pleasure of unscrupulous killing, so when the golden-winged Great Rock clan decided to attack the Tai sacred land, he couldn't wait to apply for this operation. When Elder Jin Hua heard this, he turned his head and glanced at him. The moonlight was so calm that it seemed to contain nothing, but it made the excited young man's heart tremble. Then he lowered his head and waited for the reprimand. Don't worry, the Peacock clan has already hidden in the Void Worm, blocking all the escape routes of the Tai sacred land. No matter what they do, they will die. It's just a matter of time. Elder Jin Hua said indifferently. Dan. Since Elder Jin Hua had spoken, the young man didn't dare to say anything more. He hurriedly agreed and then left. After he returned from Elder Jin Hua's place, he walked into the crowd of thousands of young people. A few of them looked at him with expectant gazes and asked, "What do you think? How is it? What did Elder Jin Hua say? When should we make a move?" His tone was full of anticipation. Elder Jin Hua said, "We have to wait a little longer. There's no rush. The young man replied somewhat gloomily. The other young golden-winged Great Rock Clan members, when they heard the young man's words, suddenly looked a little disappointed. They didn't want to make a move against Elder Jin Hua. There were some complaints, but even so they didn't dare to say it out loud. It was rumored that if they angered Elder Jin Hua, he would even dare to slaughter his own people. His fierce reputation had long been known among the younger generation. But after thinking for a while, they all let go of the disappointment in their hearts. Anyway, the Tai Holy Land has already been trapped by us. It is rumored that the people of the Peacock clan are secretly assisting. Even a fly can't fly out of the Tai Holy Land. No matter what, the people of the Tai Holy Land can't escape. They can only wait quietly for their slaughter. That was what everyone was thinking. Looking at the moonlight of the Tai Holy Land, they all sneered. Some wanted to be like the young man before, and the light was full of killing intent. They wanted to experience the pleasure of killing at will. Some licked their lips and some were ready to make a move. They seemed to treat the people of the Tai Holy Land as blood food. Some seemed to think of the female disciples of the Tai Holy Land, and there was a lewd light in their light. At the forefront of these people, Elder Jin Hua stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the Tai Holy Land with an incomparably sharp gaze. He was actually Jin Liang's uncle. Jin Liang's father had been greatly shaken by the incident in the Black-Yellow Great Realm. After asking for forefather Goldenwing's permission, he wanted to personally lead his people to destroy the Tai Holy Land. However, he was unable to leave because of a mission. The king had entrusted Jin Hua with the task of destroying the Tai Holy Land, and Jin Hua had always doted on Jin Liang. Therefore he agreed without hesitation. Tai Holy Land. Jiang Chen, kill me. My nephew Liang, I will make you pay with your lives. Jin Liang looked at the Tai Holy Land. His killing intent was bone-chilling. As for Jiang Chen, your soul should be destroyed so that I can cut you open with my own hands. The reason he hadn't made a move until now was because of Jiang Chen. He had received news that Jiang Chen had become the Holy Lord of the Tai Holy Land, and that he had run off to the Western Desert during this time. He hadn't returned yet. He was worried that he would destroy the Tai Holy Land too soon. Jiang Chen hadn't returned yet. If that was the case, Jiang Chen would very likely flee in fear after hearing the news of the Tai Holy Land's destruction. If that was the case, then it would be extremely troublesome to find him. Therefore he might as well surround the Tai Holy Land. Then he would draw Jiang Chen's attention, and destroy him and the Tai Holy Land in one fell swoop. Chapter 266. Just as the nine-headed Divine Dragon clan had surrounded the Langya Sacred Ground, in the meeting hall of the Langya Sacred Ground, everyone, I'm afraid that the Langya Sacred Ground has reached a critical juncture. The nine-headed Divine Dragon clan from the Divine Demon Continent is guarding the entrance of the Langya Sacred Ground. They are ready to attack us at any time. Tao Xian sat on the main seat with a solemn expression. His gaze swept across the crowd in the hall as he spoke solemnly. There were many people sitting in the hall. They were all key figures in the Langya Sacred Ground. Other than the elders of the various halls, many elders who lived in seclusion were already seated in the hall. The Supreme Elder sat at the front of them. After hearing Tao Xian's words, these people did not show any fear. Instead, they were extremely determined. We will live and die with the sacred ground. We will live and die with the sacred ground. Everyone was incomparably resolute and had no intention of backing down. This scene was witnessed by Dao Yen, causing him to feel extremely gratified in his heart. With such disciples from the sacred ground, he was naturally happy for the Langya Sacred Ground. Without the interference of a powerful enemy like the nine-headed Divine Dragon clan, the Langya Sacred Ground might have flourished until it reached its peak. But it's a pity. The Sacred Lord has not grown up yet. Facing such a powerful enemy, he should not be able to do anything. Thinking of this, Tao Xian and even hoped that Jun Haoyan did not know what had happened here and that it would be best if he did not return. After all, if even Jun Haoyan fell, the Langya Sacred Ground would be completely doomed. However, the good thing is that the nine-headed Divine Dragon clan only sealed the mountain gate. Our true disciples and some other disciples with potential were all led away by the punishment elder in the clan through a secret exit. The legacy of the Langya Sacred Ground will not be severed. Tao Xian looked at the almost desperate determination of everyone in the hall and comforted them. However, before he could finish speaking, many rushing sounds hurriedly sounded from outside the large hall. Tao Xian looked out of the hall in shock. Then he saw the punishment elder walk in with an ashen face. Grand Elder, when we were looking for a way out, we ran into the Green Hill Fox clan. The punishment elder said in a deep voice. What? When Tao Xian heard this, he was shocked and immediately asked, "Where are our true disciples? Were they killed by the Green Hill Foxes?" "No, they are very strange. They only blocked our path but did not attack us. All the direct disciples have been brought back by me. At this moment they are in the plaza outside the large hall." Hearing this, the punishment elder shook his head and said. When Tao Xian heard this, he looked out of the hall. In the square outside the palace, all the true disciples were standing. There was a total of 108 of them. Behind them there were other disciples. The same determination could be seen on the faces of these disciples. It seemed that they were also prepared to live and die with the Langya sacred ground. When Tao Xian saw this scene, he immediately sighed. "It doesn't matter to us old fellows, but it's hard for these children." His tone was filled with helplessness and sadness. "It's really strange. The nine-headed serpent clan is guarding the mountain pass, and the Green Hill Foxes are guarding the retreat. They could easily crush the sacred ground and destroy us, but they are holding back. I don't know why." At this moment, the Grand Elder, who was sitting in front of the many elders, frowned and was puzzled. When Li Daoi heard this, he shook his head and said helplessly, "It's as if they are waiting for something." When he said this, Tao Xian seemed to have thought of something and his expression changed. Could it be that their goal was the sacred Lord Jun Haoyan? They wanted to lure the sacred Lord back and kill him directly? The more Tao Xian thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Then he became more and more frightened. Jun Haoyan was the hope of the Langya sacred ground. With Jun Haoyan, even if the Langya sacred ground was destroyed, they would at least have a successor. In the future, they might even be able to avenge the Langya sacred ground. However, if even Jun Haoyan was killed, then the Langya sacred ground would truly be finished. "You're saying that their goal is the sacred Lord?" When the Grand Elder heard this, he was shocked and asked with a pale face. He also thought of Tao Xian's thoughts. When Tao Xian heard this, he nodded helplessly. After receiving his affirmation, there was finally a wave of panic in the hall. At this moment they were finally a little worried. However, no matter how worried they were, there was nothing they could do. Now that the Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan had surrounded the Langya sacred ground, there was no way they could send a message to Jun Haoyan. Now they could only resign themselves to fate. When he thought of this, Tao Xian's face was filled with sorrow. At this point he was also at his wit's end. He could only hope that Jun Haoyan would not return so quickly, or that he would choose to hide after learning about the crisis in the Langya sacred ground and not choose to come to the rescue of the Langya sacred ground. Amidst such an atmosphere, the Langya sacred ground was surrounded by the Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan for 3 whole days. During these 3 days, although the Langya sacred ground was in despair, they did not give up trying. They tried all kinds of methods to send a message to the outside world. They tried to inform Jun Haoyan of the Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan's conspiracy, but it was to no avail. They used all kinds of magic to send a message, but under the inescapable net of the Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan, they were still useless. They were seen through immediately. Even a day ago, Tao Xian gritted his teeth and tried to force his way through the encirclement of the Nine-Headed Dragon clan to send a message to Jun Haoyan, but he was helplessly beaten back with serious injuries. At this point, the Langya sacred ground had exhausted all means and was really at their wits' end. It was in such an atmosphere. On this day, in the sky to the west of the Langya sacred ground, there was a sharp sound of something breaking through the air. A figure turned into a golden rainbow, and under everyone's gaze, it was like a phantom, flying towards the Langya sacred ground at an extremely fast speed. Whether it was the Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan outside the Langya sacred ground, or the people inside the Langya sacred ground, everyone was shocked when they saw the streak of light. This was because the streak of light did not conceal itself at all. Instead, it completely released its aura and descended upon this world. In this streak of light, everyone could sense Jun Haoyan's aura and see Jun Haoyan's figure. Then everyone's reaction was different. Within the Langya sacred ground, Tao Xian, the Grand Elder, and many other elders and true disciples were all shocked. Then they became worried, despaired, and all kinds of emotions followed. It was close. That streak of light, it's the Holy Lord's figure. The Holy Lord is finally back. Will he save us? Sai, I heard from the elders that the Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Green Hill Fox clan's goal is to lure the Holy Lord back, and then? You mean, even the Holy Lord is going to die with the Langya sacred ground? I'm afraid so. Even the Holy Lord is going to die. Then when we all die, who will avenge us? Many disciples stood in the square of the Langya sacred ground and looked at the familiar figure in the sky as they discussed among themselves. Then, a feeling of sadness rose within them. Sigh, the Holy Lord is back in the end. What should we do? Tao Xian led a group of elders and floated in the void above the Langya sacred ground. He looked at Jun Haoyin's figure as he appeared and said helplessly. Behind him were the helpless expressions of the elders. This time, perhaps the Langya sacred ground was really going to be completely destroyed. This was the reaction of the people in the Langya sacred ground. However, in the eyes of the nine-headed dragon clan, all of them were overjoyed. That's the Holy Lord of the Langya sacred ground, Jun Haoyin? He's the one who doesn't know what's good for him. He dared to kill the people of the nine-headed dragon clan. Now that he's here, the massacre is about to begin. How exciting. I'm actually tempted by the bodies of the female disciples inside. These young nine-headed dragon clan members were all excited when they saw Jun Haoyin appear. They were all talking about him. Among them, the person that was the happiest was none other than the leader of the nine-headed divine dragon clan, Elder Ao Han. He had been waiting at the mountain gate of the Langya sacred ground for so many days to lure Jun Haoyin here. Now that he saw Jun Haoyin appear, a fierce look suddenly appeared in his eyes. His eyes were filled with a shocking murderous intent. The dermic power in his body leaked out uncontrollably, causing the void to tremble slightly. Without saying a word, he leaped up and flew at an extremely fast speed. It seemed as if it was leaping through space, rushing towards Jun Haoyin's escape light like a bolt of lightning. He was ready to kill Jun Haoyin directly and use his blood as a sacrifice to Ao Liang's nephew. When he flew up, several powerful figures also appeared behind him. Those were people who were also in the immortal realm. There were more than a dozen of them in total. Including Ao Han, who was at the peak of the immortal realm and half a step into the emperor realm, there were a total of 8 people who were above the immortal realm. They were all charging towards Jun Haoyin at the same time. However, even with such a powerful lineup, it was not over yet. The void around the Langya sacred ground trembled. Many figures appeared from it. These figures were all wearing colorful robes. The corners of their eyes were long and narrow, and their gazes were unusually fierce. They were the leader of the Green Hill Fox clan and his clansmen. Just like the nine-headed divine flood dragon clan, they hated Jun Haoyin to the core because Jun Haoyin had also killed the fairy fox king. Jun Haoyin is finally here. I can't wait any longer. One of the most powerful figures among them was the same as Ao Han of the nine-headed divine flood dragon clan. He had reached the peak of the immortal realm, faintly exuding an emperor realm aura, causing the void to faintly tremble. He laughed mischievously. Just like Ao Han, he also flew into the air. Let's go. We can't just let the nine-headed divine flood dragon clan take advantage of us. We can't fall behind either. Jun Haoyin must die in the hands of our Green Hill Fox clan. Behind this figure, there were also 6 immortal realm experts with the same powerful aura as him. For a moment, more than 10 immortal realm experts flew towards Jiang Chen at the same time. Among them, there were even 2 who had comprehended a trace of the ancient Saint Qi. These people were all filled with killing intent. Moreover, the light emitted a terrifying killing intent. They looked at Jiang Chen as if he was their prey, and wanted to kill him on the spot. The mightiness created by so many experts flying towards Jiang Chen at the same time was extremely great, although there were only 7 of them. It gave people the feeling that the whole world was rushing towards them at the same time. It was extremely terrifying. This is bad. Li Daoi's face turned pale when he saw this scene. He was worried about the most. There were more than 10 immortal realm experts besieging Jiang Chen at the same time. Some of them were even on the verge of breaking through to the ancient saint realm. No matter how strong Jiang Chen was, how could he withstand such a ferocious attack? Li Daoi could already foresee the tragic scene that was about to unfold. At this moment, the clansmen of the golden-winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan saw the elders of their clan. They were directly out of the sheep, and their faces were filled with excitement. Let's go. The elders have already taken action. It's time for a massacre. Kill all the people of the Tai sacred ground. These people roared excitedly and rushed towards the Tai sacred ground. When they pounced, their bodies were all suffused with a shocking golden or earth-colored light. It was obvious that they were preparing some kind of powerful divine ability. Some of them even transformed into their true form, the golden-winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan. Their eyes were sparkling with excitement. They were rushing towards the Tai sacred ground. Suddenly, an extremely great sense of crisis descended upon the Tai sacred ground. Formation Mountain Rise. At this moment, Li Daoi's eyes became serious. A picture scroll appeared in his hand. It had a terrifying aura, faintly revealing the aura of a great sovereign. He spread it out and the picture scroll slowly unfolded. A terrifying power was gathering. Text. Imperial Weapon. Tai Splendid Mountain River Painting Scroll. This was the Emperor of Suppression of the Tai Sacred Ground. Li 5. 6 Daoi used the Tai Splendid Mountain River Painting Scroll as the eye of the formation, with many disciples and elders of the Tai Sacred Ground as support. Together they formed a sect protecting Grand Array. Dan. Hearing Li Daoi's figure, all the disciples of the two sacred grounds, the true disciples, the core disciples, and even the king's servant disciples, including many elders, all responded. Their voices were firm and resolute. Then, as long as the people of the Tai Sacred Ground had a trace of cultivation base, they all flew up into the air and came to the void. They sat cross-legged around Li Daoi. Their hands were casting a mysterious secret technique. As the secret technique was cast, their breaths were faintly synchronized, and their auras were faintly synchronized. It was as if they were one. Above the void, the dense lightning of human figures rose. Chapter 267. Rays of magical power shot up into the sky and flowed through the channels of spiritual power. Then all of them flowed towards Tao Xian, who was in the center of the crowd. The Langya mountain and river diagram in Tao Xian's hand glowed brighter and brighter. Rise. In the next moment, Tao Xian shouted with a serious look in his eyes. As his words fell, the Langya mountain and river diagram in his hand glowed with dazzling light. All of it went into the great protective array, which was placed above the Langya sacred land like an upside-down bowl. Immediately, after absorbing the many rays of light poured into the Langya mountain river diagram, the originally extremely solid Great Sect Protection Array immediately became bright and dazzling. It was like an iron wall that was made of copper and iron. Just as the Great Protective Array was being strengthened, the members of the Nine-Headed Serpent clan and the Green Hill Fox clan bombarded the Great Protective Array with all kinds of terrifying powers. Even though the sect protecting formation was so solid that it could withstand the continuous attacks of an Undying Realm expert, it constantly shook and rippled, as if it could not withstand the attacks of an Undying Realm expert. Although the Undying and Undying Realm existences of these two races had all gone to besiege Junhaotian, those who remained behind were all at the Undying and Undying Realm, Immortal Creation Realm, and Immortal World King Realm existences. Their combined strength was much more terrifying than an Undying Realm expert. Therefore, under the simultaneous attacks of these people, it would not take long for the Great Protective Array to be broken. However, the good thing was that although it would eventually be broken, it had not been broken yet and could still hold on for a while. Seeing this, Tao Xian immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Compared to the Great Protective Array, he was more worried about Junhaotian's safety. He hoped that Junhaotian would choose to escape when he saw so many experts besieging him at the same time, so that he could avenge him one day. There are so many experts even if he escapes. Isn't the hope extremely slim? Tao Xian thought. He was not the only one. Everyone, regardless of whether they were from the Langya Sacred Ground, the Nine-Headed Serpent and the Green Hill Foxes, had their attention focused on Junhaotian's location. They were paying close attention to the battle there. Under everyone's attention, Jiang Qin had also discovered the 10 slices here. Ning saw many members of the Golden-Winged Great Rock clan and the Peacock clan, as if they were facing a great enemy. The people of the Tai Holy Land who had activated the sect protecting Grand Array when he saw that the Golden-Winged Peng clan and the Peacock clan had not yet started to make a move, too was still a little confused. After all, when he was still in the Western Desert, the two races had already surrounded the Tai Holy Land. Now he had rushed here in a hurry. It had been many days but they still hadn't moved. When he saw more than 10 Immortal Realm experts from the Golden-Winged Great Rock clan and the Peacock clan rushing towards him, he instantly understood the whole story. So that's how it is. Their main target is me? They want to use the Tai Holy Land to lure me out and eliminate me directly. Jiang Qin understood everything as he looked at the scene in front of him. He was extremely worried. When he rushed to the Tai Holy Land, he would only see a pile of ruins and it would be too late to do anything. But now, the Golden-Winged Great Rock clan and the Peacock clan's people had schemed against him, and the Tai Holy Land was still intact. Jiang Qin rejoiced inwardly at this. At this moment, the Tai Holy Land had already started to set up the sect protection formation. Li Daoi still had the sovereign weapon in his hand as the eye of the formation. He should be able to hold on for a while. Jiang Qin was able to deal with the 8 gods. Two relaxed and looked at the figures of the experts who were rushing towards him. More than 10 Immortal Realm experts? No, there were even 2 unusual qi among them. Could it be that they were experts who had a trace of the qi of the ancient saints? Jiang Chen was slightly surprised. But fortunately, it was fine as long as they weren't real ancient saints. His realm had already reached the immortal creator realm. Moreover, with the support of many divine abilities and cultivation methods, his combat strength had reached the 2nd level. He had already reached the immortal realm. Besieging him? I'm sorry, but he was really scared of that. Because the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant had already been nourished by the cauldron, his magical strength was incomparably profound. He would never run out of magical strength. Every time he attacked, he would use his full strength. He was the one who was least afraid of being besieged. He was not afraid of these people at all. It was a good opportunity to use these people to test his strength after breaking through 2 immortal realms. He had never been afraid of battles. Since these people wanted to harm him, then he was going to make them pay a heavy price. Jiang Chen immediately sat down and spoke indifferently. His voice was like rolling thunder sweeping across the heavens and earth. Good timing. This voice contained great confidence, as if he was confident in the upcoming battle. He had no intention of backing down at all. Have high white-letter general duels the net head to oppose. This voice was heard by many disciples and elders in the sect-protecting formation of the Tai 113 sacred land. They were immediately stunned. How can the sacred lord still be so confident at a time like this? A disciple asked, puzzled. Have you forgotten? The sacred lord has fought every time. They would definitely win every battle. They had never lost before. Although these people were full of vigor, they were powerful and had the advantage in numbers. However, since Sheng Xing was so confident, he must have the confidence to win. This meant that Sheng Xing would definitely win this battle. A more fanatical disciple said with incomparable determination. As soon as his voice faded, many people responded to him. They were unusually confident that Jiang Chen could win the battle, and even kill these demons. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. This was the influence of Jiang Chen's consistent strength on them. A single sentence, "You came at the right time," had such a huge impact. The disciples of the Tai sacred land, who had almost given up all hope, suddenly had hope. Even Li Daoming and the other elders floating around him were slightly surprised when they heard Jiang Chen's words. They were overjoyed. They all knew Jiang Chen's temperament. The fact that Jiang Chen could say something like this meant that he had great confidence. This meant that there was a very good chance that he would win. Li Daoi looked at Jiang Chen with the moonlight. He wanted to know how high Jiang Chen's cultivation level was. Is it the eternal creator realm? Li Daoi could clearly sense Jiang Chen's current cultivation level. He paused, then rejoiced. Jiang Chen's strength couldn't be measured by his cultivation level. He had always been able to challenge those above his level. Now that he was at the eternal creator realm, he could do it. Maybe he really could. When Li Daoi thought of this, the light instantly became bright, and his eyes were filled with hope. He wasn't the only one. Almost everyone from the Tai sacred land felt the same way. In an instant, the Tai sacred land situation changed. Even the amount of dermic powers being channeled into the Great Sect Protecting Array became much more abundant. Instantly, the Great Sect Protecting Array shone brightly and became even more solid. The Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan, who were attacking the Great Sect Protecting Formation, sensed it. They were surprised and bewildered. But when they looked at the Greater One Holy Land, they knew the reason. Now, everyone in the Greater One Holy Land had a smile on their faces, and their fighting spirit was high. How is this possible? They had been despondent before. How did they become so confident in an instant? These demon race people, seeing the scene in the Greater One Holy Land, were stunned. Is this all because of Jiang Chen? A few words from a single person can have such a great effect? Do they really think that Jiang Chen, a mere longevity creator, could defeat the experts of our 2 clans? More than 10 Immortal Realm experts? Discussions broke out among the crowd. The Golden-Winged Great Ping race and the Peacock race stopped attacking the Great Protective Array when they saw this situation. They all turned to look at Jiang Chen's battlefield. Due to the high fighting spirit of the sacred land, the Great Formation became incomparably strong. They could not break it in a short period of time. They might as well observe the battle over there. It's a good opportunity for them to see how the experts of the 2 races would deal with Jiang Chen. In the end, the people of the Tai sacred land, the Golden-Winged Great Rocks and the Peacocks all stopped what they were doing and turned their attention to Jiang Chen's battle. It was at this moment that everyone was looking at Jiang Chen. In any case, Tai Jiang was watching the immortal experts from the 2 clans dashing towards him at an astonishing speed. His expression was solemn. Although he was very confident in himself, he would never underestimate the enemy. He would not easily fall into a predicament. At least, the 15 experts who were rushing towards him should be reduced by a few. The fastest way to reduce their numbers was to use strong attacks to kill a few of them first. Jiang Chen's body trembled. His mind was filled with various divine arts and techniques. He started chanting at the same time. In his body there was a frenzied flow of energy. It was like a surging river. It was frenzied yet reasonable. There was no conflict. Around his body, a terrifying amount of spiritual energy was gathering. The moonlight in Jiang City was bright and sharp. Eternal immortal body. Secret of all. Secret of battle. 3 peerless divine abilities that were above the Emperor technique were casted at the same time. It was as if a bell was ringing, causing the space around Jiang Chen to tremble. The eternal immortal body was created by the founder of the Tai Sacred Land, Tai Great Emperor. It was the cultivation method of the Great Emperor. It was extremely difficult for an ancient saint to cultivate it. It was extraordinarily powerful and it had greatly strengthened Jiang Chen's body. The secret of all, and battle, were needless to say. They were the peerless divine arts that Jiang Chen had obtained after reading the Platinum Divine Art. One of them could increase Jiang Chen's overall strength by 10 times. The other one gave Jiang Chen the ultimate combat strength, unparalleled attack and breaking force. 3 types of wild yet not violent auras suddenly emerged from Jiang Chen's body, making one's heart tremble with fear. Jiang Chen's qi started to rise rapidly under the influence of the 3 types of qi. At this moment in Jiang Chen's body, it was as if 3 dragon roars were heard. Jiang Chen's qi instantly rose from the eternal creator realm to the immortal creator realm. From the longevity creator realm to the peak of the longevity immortal realm, he had risen directly. At this moment, his combat strength had reached the peak of the immortal realm. However, this was not the end. Jiang Chen was going to take out something else. This time he was not going to cast out the 6 Dao Divine King Fist. Although the 6 Dao Divine King Fist was an extremely powerful divine art, it was not as powerful as the 9 Dao Divine King Fist. This time he was going to take out the Great Sun Breaking Heaven Punishing Divine Bow. Jiang Chen flipped his palm. Immediately, a golden radiance appeared. Its aura was astonishing, and there were sounds of dragons and phoenixes circling around its body. It was a divine bow that could subdue souls. The Great Sun Breaking Heaven Punishing Divine Bow. At the moment when the bow was taken out, a faint cry could be heard from the sky. It was as if the sky was being suppressed by the divine bow. Jiang Chen did not hesitate after taking out the bow. He immediately assumed an archery posture and pulled the bowstring. The light was as sharp as the eye of the heavens, locking onto a few of the 15 figures that were flying towards him. Frost Hell Creation Heavens. Jiang Chen spat out these words one by one in the cold moonlight. Inside his body, there was an extremely cold magical power that was quietly circulating. The sky seemed to be affected by his Frost Hell Creation Heavenly Art. It quickly became cold. After a while, snowflakes started to form. They were beautiful and transparent snowflakes. Containing an unimaginable coldness, it slowly floated down. Then these snowflakes seemed to have a life of their own. They fell down and gathered on the Great Sun Breaking Heaven Punishing Divine Bow in Jiang Chen's hand. More and more snowflakes gathered. The 3 crystals were sparkling and translucent. However, it emitted an ice arrow that could freeze space. It gradually took shape on the Tai Sun Breaking Heaven Punishing Divine Bow. This was actually a magical word that Jiang Chen came up with himself. Although there would be an illusory arrow formed when he pulled the bow, its power was equally astonishing. But now, the frost arrow formed by the Frost Prison Creation Heavenly Art possessed even greater power. It was attached to the illusory red arrow formed by the Great Destruction Heaven Punishing Divine Bow and had the effect of superimposing its power. And now, with the Great Sun Breaking Heaven Punishing Divine Bow in his hand, Jiang Chen was confident that he could kill all 3 of them in one shot. Instantly kill 3 Immortal Realm experts. Chapter 268. Dark Night, Deep Valley. It was pitch black and one could not even see their own fingers. Only ferocious beasts could be seen. A snow-white demon wolf suddenly appeared. It seemed to have smelled the scent of flesh and blood. With a leap, it was like a bolt of silver lightning tearing through the night. Its body was huge, even more muscular than 2 grown men. It landed without a sound, and its movements were agile and light. It circled around the human-shaped object in the valley and began to predict danger. In its green eyes, the human-shaped object was motionless. Its aura was so weak that it was almost non-existent. It also emitted the scent of fresh blood. It was the best food. The demon wolf did not hesitate and pounced forward. It was as fast as a ghost. It opened its bloody mouth, revealing a mouthful of razor-sharp fangs. Blood and saliva splattered everywhere. But at this moment the demon wolf was inexplicably frightened. Because the human-shaped object was quietly looking at it, its gaze as calm as an ancient well. "Mere demon, how dare you be so impudent?" Then the person suddenly opened his mouth and breathed out a stream of air. It quickly turned into a sharp light and slashed into the demon wolf's mouth. Rumble. The demon wolf was completely unable to dodge. Its internal organs were instantly minced into meat paste. It fell head first beside the human-shaped object, blood spurting from its mouth and nose. It died a miserable death. If there was a sword expert here, he would definitely be shocked. This was a marvelous technique of condensing chi into a sword. Without the strength of the life-soul realm, it was impossible to use it. How could it appear in the hands of a dying youth? Unfortunately, there was a dead silence in the deep valley. This human-shaped object lay quietly among a large number of broken branches. It endured the intense pain that surged from every part of its body like a tidal wave. Who knew how many of its bones had been broken? It was only a breath away from death. But there was not much pain on its face. Instead, it was filled with shock. The Heavenly Sword sect's strength was almost on par with the Divine Tao sect. It had the reputation of being the #1 sect in the Tianyuan continent. Who would have thought that it would be destroyed so suddenly? The destruction of the Heavenly Sword sect also implicated all the sword cultivator sects in the Tianyuan continent. They suffered a devastating blow and were completely removed from the Tianyuan continent. In the end, the Heavenly Sword sect was too arrogant and too stupid. Sword cultivators are too strong, but they're not as strong as the mainstream of the Tianyuan continent. Led by the Divine Path sect, countless sorcerer sects are working together to suppress them. The Immortal Tao sect wants to get rid of the Heavenly Sword sect, and even all the sword cultivator sections. Who knows how long they have been plotting this? They have colluded with many master sects to work together. Even the demons and the various secret realms have been mobilized. His face was filled with anger and pain. He was not a disciple of the #1 sword sect in the Tianyuan continent, the Heavenly Sword sect, but he was still a sword cultivator. The blood-devouring sword emperor, Qinjiuyo, had swept across the Tianyuan continent alone with his sword. He had killed countless experts and shocked the 7 secret realms. However, what shocked him the most was not this, but the place he was at, the cliff of the Heavenly Sword sect's heavenly stream. 70 years. I'm actually back. Ever since he had mastered his sword techniques, Qinjiuyo had thought that his spirit would never be shaken by anything else, and that was the truth. Back then, the 3,000 sorcerer sects of the Tianyuan continent had worked together to kill sword cultivators. Although he was not a disciple of the Heavenly Sword sect, he was still a famous sword cultivator expert. He could not escape his fate and was killed by 13 top sorcerer experts. However, even then he did not know what fear, despair, and shock were. Could that be eaten? However, after his last sword strike was invincible and killed 7 Emperor Realm Masters, Yang Kai suffered countless heavy blows and was on the verge of death, but he felt as if time had been reversed while he was in a state of chaos. When he woke up, he was shocked to find that he had returned to 70 years ago. 70 years ago, he was still a young man who admired sword cultivation and participated in the Heavenly Sword sect's disciple recruitment. His talent was outstanding and he succeeded in one go. He even gained the appreciation of a condensed essence realm expert of the Heavenly Sword sect, who wanted to take him in as a disciple. In the end, he was hated by others and was beaten to the cliff of the Heavenly Sword sect's heavenly stream. That's right, it's here. I've returned to 70 years ago. In the sword room. Qinjiuyo had already condensed the solipsistic sword spirit from illusory to corporeal. He was at the crucial moment of breaking through the life and death juncture and reaching the Heaven Star border realm. As though it had sensed this change, the Yuan Qi in the sword room went berserk. It turned into a vortex and swirled in all directions. Suddenly, Qinjiuyo stood up. He grabbed the ironwood sword in his hand. As he raised his hand, he stabbed with the sword. The solipsistic sword soul vibrated as true energy, which had completely materialized, flowed along the sword and shot out in a majestic manner. Boom! A sharp azure ancient sword chi left the sword and shot out. It broke open the door of the sword room and disappeared into the distance amidst the flying rocks. Qinjiuyo was very satisfied because this was the Heavenly Dipper realm. Unlike the soul-nurturing realm where the sword chi could only be attached to the sword The sword chi released by the Heavenly Dipper realm could leave the sword and kill enemies that were 100 feet away or even hundreds of feet away. In the legends of ordinary sword cultivators, there were legends of powerful sword cultivators who could kill enemies 1,000 miles away with a casual slash. The sword chi slowly dissipated. However, it stirred up the yuan chi in the heaven and earth. In an instant, a storm was formed within 100 feet radius. It rushed to the sky and even the clouds in the Langya Valley were stirred up. In the Earth Profound Pavilion, Yi Wenxuan was concocting medicine in his own residence, preparing to give it to Feng Buxiu. However, all of a sudden he felt a change in the weather. His expression changed slightly and he rushed out without thinking. In a sword room in the Earth Profound Pavilion, Mu Fei was carefully absorbing the energy essence in the true origin crystal and merging it with his true qi. He didn't dare to take the risk. Even so, his cultivation was improving rapidly and he wasn't far from breaking through to the next realm. However, at this moment, Mu Fei felt an extremely terrifying sword qi rushing towards him. Even the 1,000-feet-thick mountain could not withstand it. All the hairs on his body stood on end. The direction of the sword qi seems to be, with this thought, he couldn't cultivate in peace. He stood up and rushed out of the door. At the same time, many sword cultivator experts sensed it and immediately rushed over. Heaven Star border realm formed and the wind and clouds moved. Everyone sensed it and rushed over. Qin Juyo didn't know about this. He kept his sword and walked out of the sword room. Before he walked far, he saw Yi Wenxuan, Mu Fei and the rest rushing over. Mu Fei was even more anxious. He was still far away and he shouted, "Junior brother, was the commotion just now caused by you?" "That's right." Qin Juyo didn't deny it. With such a huge commotion he couldn't deny it. Good. Junior brother, you've advanced to the Heaven Star border realm so quickly. You're indeed a genius. Yi Wenxuan was ecstatic. He was even happier than if he had advanced himself. At this moment, Qin Juyo's other senior brothers and senior sisters like Bailey Xian, Xia Zian, Leng Jian and many other Earth Profound Pavilion experts rushed over. When they heard about it, someone laughed wildly, "Haha, good. Today, the Right House is holding a promotion ceremony for Tsing Shan in the Langya main hall. It's said that the Langya sword residence is in a special situation and they need such good news to boost their morale." What a joke. In the past, only those who have advanced to the origin condensation realm are qualified to hold such a ceremony in the Langya main hall. There's a corresponding ceremony for advancing to the Heaven Star border realm, but it's usually held in the Earth Profound Pavilion or Heavenly Sun Pavilion. Holding it in the Langya main hall is overstepping their boundaries. It's simply shameless. That's right. Sixth senior brother Leng Jian, who had rushed over, said with a cold face, "Furthermore, I think that Tsing Shan's talent is ordinary." After advancing to the Heaven Star border realm, he was defeated by junior brother. He's not worth mentioning at all. It's fine if he holds a ceremony in the Heavenly Sun Pavilion, but no one cares about him. Is he qualified to hold a ceremony in the Langya main hall? He spoke bluntly and didn't hide anything. He had already advanced to the origin condensation realm and was stronger than fifth senior brother Mu Fei. He had the strength and status to speak like this. Qin Juyo naturally knew about such rules. As for Tsing Shan breaking the rules and holding a ceremony in the Langya main hall, he had just heard about it. Qin Juyo pondered for a moment and said, "Let's go. We'll go to the Langya main hall and take a look at their promotion ceremony. After that, I'll advance to the Heaven Star border realm. Although I'm not interested in holding a promotion ceremony, the Sword Tomb selection is a must." His eyes glowed brightly. The Sword Tomb selection was the opportunity that he had been waiting for. "Let's go. We'll all go and crush the Heavenly Sun Pavilion's prestige." Mu Fei immediately responded. The other Earth Profound Pavilion members also didn't want to see the Heavenly Sun Pavilion's prestige and echoed. Only Yi Wenxuan was concerned about the overall situation. He wanted to stop them, but he couldn't go against everyone's wishes and could only follow. A group of people clustered around Qin Juyo and walked towards the Langya main hall in a grandiose manner. The Langya Sword Pavilion was already in an uproar. Everyone was discussing who had advanced to the Heaven Star border realm and had caused such a huge commotion. They had almost thought of all the famous young sword cultivators in the Langya Sword Pavilion and were in a heated discussion. However, they rarely mentioned Qin Juyo. Firstly, it was because Qin Juyo had only joined the Langya Sword Pavilion for a short period of time and many people weren't familiar with him. Secondly, they had heard that Qin Juyo had just advanced to the 9th level of the soul-nurturing realm. They couldn't imagine that he would break through the life and death juncture and reach the Heaven Star border realm so quickly. It's him. It must be him. Damn it. Why did this happen? On the sword tomb of the Langya Sword Way, Xing Shan's face suddenly turned ashen and gloomy. Although he didn't have any evidence, when he saw the terrifying sword chi that suddenly exploded in the sky, he immediately determined that it was Qin Jiuyo's doing. In Xing Shan's heart, if it wasn't for Qin Jiuyo's sudden appearance, he would definitely be the #1 genius in the Langya Sword Pavilion. Even a genius like him didn't cause such a huge commotion when he advanced to the Heaven Star Border realm, let alone the other disciples of the Langya Sword Pavilion. Senior brother, are you all right? A disciple at the side saw that Xing Shan's expression wasn't right and asked with concern. Xing Shan was suddenly enraged. He almost wanted to grab the long sword beside him and slash. Fortunately, he restrained himself in time. However, the murderous aura that erupted still scared the kind-hearted disciple so much that he staggered back with a pale face. Senior brother, you? Xing Shan snorted coldly. He didn't even bother to choose a sword and rushed towards the Langya main hall. He came in a hurry and left in a hurry. This was natural. Originally, he wanted to choose a good sword and rely on the advantage of the weapon to have a showdown with Qin Jiuyo. Now that he had a premonition that Qin Jiuyo might have advanced to the Heaven Star Border realm and was qualified to come to the sword tomb to choose a sword, Xing Shan's wishful thinking instantly failed. He lost all interest and hurried back to the sect to seek advice from the elders. The Langya main hall was packed with people. Most of them were from the Heavenly Sun Pavilion. For example, the Heavenly Sun Pavilion's deputy pavilion master, Yan Nantian, and some of the deacons and disciples of different levels were in the hundreds. Only those with sufficient status could stand in the main hall. As for the other ordinary disciples, there were too many of them and they could only watch the show from the White Jade Hall outside. Originally, every disciple from the Heavenly Sun Pavilion was full of joy and smiles. After all, the genius disciples from the Heavenly Sun Pavilion were able to stand in the Langya main hall as an exception. They could also take the opportunity to bully the people from the Earth Shen Pavilion. They were in a very good mood. However, just when they were at their happiest, an extremely terrifying sword chi suddenly attacked violently. It was overbearing and austere. It was like a slap that landed heavily on their faces, causing their smiles to instantly disappear. Someone had advanced to the Heaven Star Border realm. Furthermore, he chose to do it right when Xing Shan's Heaven Star Border realm promotion ceremony was about to be held. This was clearly a provocation and a public slap in the face. Immediately an expert roared, "The Earth Shen Pavilion. It must be the people from the Earth Shen Pavilion who don't like our Heavenly Sun Pavilion and are playing dirty tricks behind our backs. Otherwise, how can those crooked disciples of theirs have the ability to release such a sword chi?" Even Xing Shan's promotion couldn't cause such a change in the sky, let alone others. The people from the Earth Shen Pavilion actually came up with such a plan to attack our Heavenly Sun Pavilion? They must be dreaming. Someone was spouting nonsense, but there were also people who seemed to have thought of something and their faces turned ugly. They clearly remembered that recently the Earth Shen Pavilion had a new peerless genius. When he was still in the soul-nurturing realm, he had cleanly defeated Xing Shan, who had already advanced to the Heaven Star Border realm in the sword battle arena. At that time, it had attracted their attention. They immediately found an excuse to send Qin Jiuyo into the collection team and instructed Duan Hu, who was in the Heaven Star Border realm stage 3, to teach him a lesson. Who knew that Duan Hu would be so useless? As a Heaven Star Border realm stage 3, he actually failed and ended up in such a miserable state. This also made them even more wary of Qin Jiuyo. Just as they were thinking of ways to get rid of this hidden danger, who knew that in just a few days Qin Jiuyo would advance to the Heaven Star Border realm. Many people who were good at scheming immediately gathered together and prepared a strategy to deal with this. Suddenly the crowd was in an uproar. It instantly spread from the outside of the Langya main hall to the inside. All the discussions disappeared and turned into the sound of salutes. Coincidentally, Xing Shan arrived at the Langya main hall at this moment. When he looked over, he was shocked to see that the person leading the group was Yan Nantian. Xing Shan knew that originally, he didn't have the qualifications to hold the Heaven Star Border realm promotion ceremony in the Langya main hall. It was the upper echelons of the Heavenly Sun Pavilion who fought for it for him. Even so, it was impossible for the pavilion master to come out and host the ceremony for him. Now Yan Nantian came out personally. Perhaps, it was because of the explosion of the sword chi that caused the change in the sky. When Xing Shan thought of this, he was envious and jealous. Then he saw Du Hongling, who was following beside Yan Nantian. The young girl was delicate and looked noble and beautiful in the eyes of the crowd. Chapter 269. This energy came from their own attack, but it was reflected back at them. It was like trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Both of them felt extremely bitter. Apart from that, there was also an indescribable aura. That kind of aura was like the aura of a supreme being. It was even more terrifying than the strength of a supreme being. It was this aura that was relentlessly following their claws and invading their arms. Moreover, it was still continuing to move upwards. Wherever this kind of aura passed through, it didn't matter if it was their bones, flesh or meridians. Humph. Then he coldly snorted. The two terrifying attacks came at him at the same time, but he didn't have the chance to continue drawing his bow. He could only release the bowstring in his hand, which had already been pulled into a full moon, and shoot out the 3 arrows of extreme coldness. Then he put away the Sunshot Divine Bow. The Great Sun Destroyer Divine Bow was a long-ranged weapon. Jiang Chen's expression was calm. He flipped his palms slightly and a small ancient bell appeared. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox, Boo. Ah. At this moment, 3 mournful cries were heard from Jiang Chen's surroundings. It was extremely short and soon it stopped. Apparently, the 3 immortal experts who were besieging Jiang Chen were frozen into ice sculptures by Jiang Chen's last 3 frost arrows. Then it suddenly crashed to the ground. After 3 consecutive bang, the impact with the ground caused the S to shatter into pieces. Then it fell to the ground. Another 3 immortal realm experts fell to the ground. All of a sudden, the immortal experts who were besieging Jiang Chen became even more flustered when they saw this scene. They felt as if there was a deadly scythe floating above their heads that could reap their lives at any time. This made them shiver in fear. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. The scythe of the death god came from Jiang Chen, who was like a devil. Under the extreme fear, they didn't dare to hesitate any longer. They immediately took out their treasures or unleashed their most powerful abilities. Lights of different colors shone brightly as they began to besiege Jiang Chen. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. All kinds of magical weapons and divine abilities were launched towards Jiang Chen. What a pity. Jiang Chen couldn't help but sigh inwardly when he saw this. Jiang Chen shook his head with regret. Since he could only pull the bowstring twice, his day-breaking sun heaven-punishing divine palace had only caused the deaths of 6 immortal realm experts. There were still 9 immortals left, and the 2 at the front were even more powerful than the saints, so he had to be vigilant. Therefore, the following battles would definitely not be easy. Of course, if someone knew that Jiang Chen was still not satisfied after killing 6 immortal realm experts in such a short period of time, they would definitely curse him. Monster. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. Jiang Chen died. He was the first to arrive. It was Jin Hua's attack. He glared at Jiang Chen angrily, his face full of anger. The golden claw in his hand struck towards Jiang Chen. At this moment he thought that Jiang Chen was dead for sure. Even though Jiang Chen had a powerful offensive bow, his defense was probably at the level of an ordinary eternal creator. Jin Hua was confident that Jiang Chen wouldn't be able to easily withstand his attack. She was even directly taken by him. He might even be torn into pieces. At the same time, Kong Feng of the Peacock clan had also flown behind Jiang Chen at some point in time. The green poisonous gourd in his hand clawed towards Jiang Chen's back. Kong Feng was confident that this grab could tear Jiang Chen's back into pieces. At this moment. At the same time, 2 terrifyingly powerful attacks descended upon Jiang Chen. At this critical moment, the divine flame in Jiang Chen's furnace burned fiercely. Abundant energy flowed out from Jiang Chen's furnace and flowed towards his limbs and bones, giving his body endless energy. Then Jiang Chen injected this energy into the quaint little bell in his hand. At a glance, this simple and unadorned little bell did not appear to be much different from an ordinary little bell other than its simplicity. However, if one were to take a closer look, one would discover that the entire body of this small bell was engraved with mysterious symbols and diagrams. There seemed to be some kind of profound truth hidden within them, and it was difficult for anyone to comprehend the profoundness within them. Then these abstruse symbols lit up one after another after receiving Jiang Chen's enormous energy. They bloomed with dazzling radiance. It was enchanting. The symbols that were emitting light floated around, and it seemed as though the entire ancient little bell had been lit up. Suddenly, a buzzing sound was heard. The quaint little bell in Jiang Chen's hand floated up by itself and hovered half a foot above Jiang Chen's palm. It seemed like it was cheering and was ready to be used at any time. Jiang Chen smiled slightly. He hadn't used this little bell many times since he got it. This time he finally had the chance to use it. The last time he used this little bell was when he killed the sacred lords of the Great Luo Sacred Land, Azure Cloud Sacred Land and Wavering Light Sacred Land. At that time, he hadn't broken through to the 5th level of immortality and couldn't activate the little bell's power. He had to rely on a relic to temporarily break through to the 5th level of immortality to activate part of the bell's power. But now, he was already at the 5th level of immortality in Creation Realm. He didn't need to rely on external forces anymore. He could now activate part of the bell's power. Thinking of this, Jiang Chen's eyes focused. He whispered, "Bell of no beginning, rise." As soon as Jiang Chen's words fell, the bell of no beginning let out a buzzing sound as if it was jumping for joy. Then it suddenly expanded. In an instant, a strange phenomenon appeared. The quaint bronze bell that emitted abstruse and mysterious Tao runes appeared around Jiang Chen's body. It was like a defensive barrier, wrapping Jiang Chen's body in it. Countless Tao runes floated up and down, emitting endless divine light that enveloped this small space. At this moment, Jiang Chen's defense could be described as impregnable. It was like an iron bucket. Nothing could penetrate it. At this moment, the sharp claws of Jin Hua and Peacock descended on the quaint bell of no end. They came into contact with each other at the head of the bell of no beginning. Boom, boom. In an instant, 2 earth-shattering sounds were heard from the bell. The void trembled and ripple-like patterns formed, as if it was being suppressed. At the same time, Jin Hua and Peacock's ferocious claws that bombarded the bell of no beginning were twisted the moment they came into contact with it. It was twisted in an instant and the nails shattered. What? Damn it. What is this thing? At the same time, Jin Hua and Zifeng suddenly felt a powerful force rebounding from the bell of no beginning. It was transmitted to their claws. Skin are all torn apart in an instant, collapsing the field. Kinking, seeing that the aura was still spreading, how could Jin Hua and Kong Xian still maintain their calm? Their expressions changed immediately. They gritted their teeth and used their other hand as a knife. Radiating with magical power, they ruthlessly chopped off their arms from the deepest part of their arms. After chopping off their arms, the chi tore their arms apart. 20__, but the good thing was that this chi SW's aura dissipated as well. Jin Hua, Kong Xian, and Zifeng looked at each other with palpitating hearts. Their eyes were filled with luck. If they hadn't cut off their arms in time, perhaps that inexplicably strong aura just now would have directly torn their bodies into pieces and destroyed their intranet. In fact, even the spirits hidden in their foreheads might perish along with them. Therefore, they didn't frown when they lost their arms. Instead, they were extremely glad. Just as the two of them chopped off their arms, the other Immortal Realm experts' ferocious attacks came at the same time and bombarded the bell of no beginning. Suddenly, a series of earth-shattering sounds shook the bell of no beginning. The bell of no beginning shone brightly, turning all the attacks into bubbles. Among them, the attacks that were condensed with magical powers were still okay. When they bombarded the bell of no beginning, they were directly scattered by the power of the bell of no beginning. Among the 2 kings of Singso, there were some who used magical treasures to attack. It was a little tragic. Their precious magical treasures were destroyed. They were directly torn into powder by the power of the bell of no beginning. The destruction of the magical treasures that they had nurtured for many years directly caused the owner of the magical treasures to suffer a backlash. At the same time, there were 4 Immortal Realm experts who were injured by the backlash from the destruction of their magical treasures. Their faces alternated between red and white. Then they spat out a mouthful of blood with a bitter expression. Blood. Their auras became extremely unstable. The one who suffered the most was the man who was hit by Jiang Chen's extreme cold arrow. This time he was affected by the backlash of the magical treasures. He was also in the same category. Originally he was a little weak. He had to divert too much of his attention to control the extremely cold magic power that was constantly roaming and destroying in his body. Therefore he did not dare to use his divine ability to bombard it, in case there was a mishap when the magic power was circulating. But now, the backlash of the magical power caused a serious consequence. It directly caused the magical power in his body to circulate, giving him a lot of time. Inside his body, there were traces of the explosion of magical power everywhere. Every meridian was directly destroyed, and the extreme cold magical power that was suppressed by him. At the same time, it also exploded. Therefore, in an instant he was directly frozen into an ice sculpture by the extreme cold magical power. Then, under the gaze of the moon, he fell to the ground powerlessly and turned into a pile of fragments. For a moment, several Immortal Realm experts around him were frightened. They immediately retreated a distance away. At this time, There were a total of 15 Immortal Realm experts who were besieging Jiangchen. Even Tu Ming and Qi Jin, who had already fallen, were only left with 8 of them. Among them, a large portion of Tai Yi had suffered serious injuries. In a short period of time, almost half of the experts from the 2 clans who were originally aggressive were directly killed. Jiang Qin, who was besieged by them. Instead, he was enveloped by a strange ancient bronze bell. He was actually unscathed. The other experts of the 2 clans were all frightened. The situation seemed to have been completely reversed. Although Jiang Qin was protected by the Bell of No Beginning, he didn't take the initiative to attack, but now he had the upper hand. The experts of the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan. Unexpectedly, they were at a disadvantage. Such a shocking scene was naturally seen by the experts of the Tai Yi Sacred Land and the 2 demon clans who were fully focused on the battle here. For a moment, everyone was shocked, puzzled, frightened, shocked, excited and proud. Everyone looked at this scene, their hearts were filled with thoughts. They were unusually shocked. Is this really something that an Immortal Realm expert can do? A clansman of the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan. An Immortal Realm expert looked at the shocking scene in the distant sky and secretly swallowed a mouthful of water. His tone was somewhat difficult. The shock that Jiang Qin gave him was too strong. X5 Firstly, he had never seen someone as strong as Jiang Qin. Not to mention that the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan didn't have one. Even the entire 3,000 Great Worlds. None of them were as terrifying as Jiang Qin. Hearing their voices, the rest of the clansmen of the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan felt the same. Their eyes were filled with fear. Even an Immortal Realm expert couldn't withstand such a powerful attack. Then wouldn't it be even more unstoppable for us, the weaklings of the Immortal Realm? Some of the clansmen of the Peacock clan thought so. For a moment, the atmosphere of fear and panic spread out from the clansmen of the 2 clans. Every clansman of the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan felt a serious crisis. It was very likely that, if the Immortal Realm experts of the 2 clans couldn't kill or stop Jiang Qin, then, in that case, it was very likely that weaker existences like them would be slaughtered like chickens and dogs by Jiang Qin, who had the time to deal with them. They regretted coming here to apply for the operation to destroy the Tai Yi Sacred Land. If it wasn't for this, they might still be under the heavy protection of the elders of the 2 clans in the Great Demon World. They wouldn't have to face such a dangerous situation where they might die at any time. Book 7 Jiyu, who wanted to experience the destruction of a sacred land, had completely abandoned that thought at this moment. She only wanted to save her own life. You must win. The 2 clansmen of the demon race were staring at Jiang Qin's battlefield. They prayed with extreme vigor. It seemed that at this moment, Jiang Qin, who was besieged, had become the hunter. The clansmen of the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan who wanted to destroy the Tai Yi Sacred Land and kill Jiang Qin had become the prey instead. At this moment, the situation between the weak and the strong was reversed. Chapter 270. As for the people of the Tai Yi Holy Land, they were impressed by Jiang Qin's strength. In just a short period of time, Jiang Qin had killed the Immortal Realm expert and injured some of the others. Everyone's aura was boosted by this. He's too powerful, worthy of being the Saint Lord. Kill them all. Because they know that our Tai Yi Sacred Land is not an existence that they can bully. The Saint Lord is mighty. Both the disciples and elders of Tai Yi Sacred Land saw the battle in the void. Everyone in the field looked excited. They were cheering. Li Daoi, the Supreme Elder, and the others. Looking at this scene, they nodded with relief. Thus, Tai Yi Sacred Land no longer needed to worry about their safety. Instead, they should be worried about the Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan. Thinking of this, Li Daoi looked at those figures that were floating outside the formation. His eyes were filled with killing intent. If it was possible, he wouldn't mind killing all of them with the Tai Yi Sacred Land painting. On Jiang Qin's side, he was floating in the void above the ground. The without beginning bell was shining brilliantly with an ancient divine aura, protecting him within it. No attacks could hurt him. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. Now the 8 people who had besieged him, including Jin Hua and Kong Feng, had all suffered some injuries. They were afraid of the backlash from the Bell of No Beginning. Thus they did not dare to attack again. In other words, as long as Jiang Qin kept using the Origin Bell to protect himself and didn't go out to fight with them, he would be invincible. But, my idea is not limited to being invincible. Within the No Beginning Bell, Jiang Qin's moonlight was filled with cold killing intent. He looked at the people around him. These people dared to come to Tai Yi Sacred Land. Looking for trouble with him. Facing such an enemy, looking for trouble with him. Facing such an enemy, Jiang Chen had always been merciless. He would have killed all of them. This fella? Gong Jinhua and Peacock looked at Jiang Chen, who was standing inside the Bell of No Beginning. Jiang Chen's cold eyes made them shiver. They knew that Jiang Chen wanted to kill all of them. Although they couldn't break through this strange ancient bell-shaped magic treasure in a short period of time, they were still delusional to think that they could kill all of them. Then, just as they were thinking this, they were shocked to see that Jiang Chen had taken back the Bell of Beginnings that was protecting him. Jiang Chen's figure appeared in front of everyone. What is he trying to do? When Jinhua saw that Jiang Chen's body was exposed, he immediately wanted to attack. However, just as he was about to attack, he was afraid that Jiang Chen would take out that ancient bell-shaped magical treasure. By the force of the backlash, when he was on the stage, he actually hesitated. Jiu and Kong Feng were the same. When the others saw that Jinhua and Kong Feng did not make a move, they did not dare to make a move. And then, between such hesitation, the corner of Jiang Chen's mouth curved up as he took out the peerless Dao tool, the Tai Yi Sun-splitting divine bow. As soon as he took it out, it caused the wind and clouds within 5,000 miles to change color. The air pressure suddenly dropped, and it emitted a trace of an ominous feeling. Jiang Chen once again assumed the posture of drawing the bow, pulling the bowstring to a full moon. Then he circulated the frost hell creation heavenly art in his body. They slowly descended from the sky and gathered on the Dai Sun-splitting divine bow, forming 3 extremely cold arrows. 6 extremely cold auras were emitted from them, causing one's soul to feel as if it was about to freeze. Not good. He's going to use that technique again. Jinhua and Sun Feng saw this and knew what Jiang Chen was thinking. Their countenance immediately changed and they were about to take action. The immortal chi was blooming in their hands, and they were preparing a terrifying attack. However, even so, their reaction was still a bit slow. Their divine abilities had not been formed yet. Jiang Chen's Tai Yi Sun-splitting divine bow had already formed. The 3 arrows of extreme cold had already taken shape. Then, without any hesitation, these 3 extremely cold arrows were shot out at an extremely fast speed, hiding in the void and sneakily attacking the 3 immortal realm experts. Jiang Chen, how dare you do this? Jinhua and Kong Feng saw this and their faces were filled with anger. They also shouted in unison. Then their hands blossomed with the radiance of their divine abilities. He struck out with his hand towards Jiang Chen, with the movement technique of the 3 extremely cold arrows. No matter what they did, there was no way they could stop it. The only thing they could do now was to attack Wei to save Zhao. They could only save the 3 of them by attacking Jiang Chen and forcing him to do so. However, just as their divine abilities were about to land on Jiang Chen's body, Jiang Chen smiled faintly. A small bronze bell appeared in his hand, and with a surge of vigorous divine energy, another gigantic divine bell appeared and stood on Jiang Chen's body, covering him within. Boom! Boom! 2 loud explosions rang out. Jinhua and Kong Feng's divine ability attacks landed on the huge bronze bell. Then they were all received by the Bell of No Beginning, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the bell. 0 Ku, 0 Ku, ah! Jiang Chen's Tai Sun Splitter and Heaven Punishing Divine Bow's 3 arrows of extreme frost were finally able to be dodged. However, the 3 Immortal Realm experts were still shot by the second diamond. Just like the previous 6 Immortal Realm experts, the 3 Immortal Realm experts were also shot in the forehead. Their divine souls were destroyed. Then their bodies froze, turning into 3 translucent ice sculptures. In the end, they fell to the ground, shattering into shattered ice crystals. Demon. He's a demon. Qi Jin's 3 Immortal Realm experts were shocked when they saw this familiar scene. Their faces turned pale with fright as they retreated tens of thousands of feet away from Qi Jin. Zhao Nuo's, they were really scared. They had never seen such a terrifying Immortal Creator Realm expert before. In just a short period of time, there were only 5 of them left. How was this a human kid in the Immortal Creator Realm? He was clearly more terrifying than a primeval saint. Damn it. When Jinhua and Kong Feng saw this scene, they cursed angrily in their hearts. They had never seen such a troublesome person before. Even if they managed to kill Jiang Chen in the end, it wouldn't make up for the loss of so many immortal experts that Jiang Chen had killed. The Golden-Winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan had fallen in the heavenly yellow great world. 8 lifetimes of bad luck. If they knew this would happen, they would not have come to the heavenly yellow great world to avenge Jin Liang. They could have waited for the world barrier outside the heavenly yellow great world to disappear completely and let the ancient saints of their clan descend to the heavenly yellow great world to kill Jiang Chen. But now that things had come to this, it was too late to say anything. They had no choice. They could only use all their means to kill Jiang Chen, even if they had to pay a high price. Only by doing so could they vent their anger. But if I want to kill Jiang Chen, I can't continue like before. I have to use all of my trump cards. Killing Jiang Chen was carried out in a swift and decisive manner. They were the golden-winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan. As a member of the demon race, their strongest means came from their powerful bodies. That's 7 people. Jin Hua and Kong Feng, who were standing on top of Guang Yi, spoke directly. Show your true form. After saying this, their bodies blossomed with golden divine light and 7-colored divine light. Vaguely, a huge figure slowly took shape in the divine light. The remaining 3 immortal realm experts from the 2 clans gritted their teeth and transformed into their true forms when they heard that. Time. The 363 spatial zones shone brightly. 33 golden-winged Great Peng clan and 2 peacock divine beasts appeared in the void. They were domineering, ruthless and cold. Their bodies were so huge that they almost covered the sky and the earth. Every move they made caused the void to tremble slightly. Immediately, they rushed towards Jiang Chen's bell of no beginning and surrounded it. Their sharp beaks were opened and divine light was condensing inside. A total of 5 village of divine light appeared. Then they rushed toward the bell of no beginning and surrounded it. The dermic powers of the 5 immortal realm experts turned into a ball of fire, burning the bell of no beginning in an attempt to burn it down. Within the bell of no beginning, the temperature around Jiang Chen did not rise. It was still the same as before. However, the magic power in his body seemed to be supplying it to the without beginning bell to defend against their attacks. It was continuously pouring into the without beginning bell. Jiang Chen discovered that the rate at which he was expending his energy had sped up. Of course, it was only a slight increase in speed. To Jiang Chen, it didn't have much of an effect on him. His magical energy was extremely dense and he did not need to worry about it. However, when he looked at the figures of the 5 Tao ministers outside the bell of no beginning, he immediately knew what they were thinking. Are you trying to drag me to death with the magical power of an immortal realm cultivator? Aren't you being a little too presumptuous? Jiang Chen sneered. Perhaps these golden-winged heavenly Peng and Peacock thought that Jiang Chen's magical energy was not as abundant as theirs since he was an immortal realm expert. Moreover, they could not break through the defense of the bell of no beginning. That's why they came up with such a plan to exhaust Jiang Chen's magical energy. At that time, Jiang Chen would not be able to resist at all. If it was an ordinary immortal realm expert, the magical energy in his body would definitely be less than theirs. Moreover, the bell of no beginning required a huge amount of magical energy. He would not be able to withstand their exhaustion and their plan would succeed. However, the one standing in front of them was Jiang Chen. In Jiang Chen's body, he had awakened 15 million ancient mammoth cells, which meant that he had the magical energy of 15 million ancient mammoths. How terrifying was 25 million ancient mammoths? Even Jin Hua and Kong Feng, who had a trace of the qi of the ancient saints, could not compare to Jiang Chen's strength. They were far from it. In front of Jiang Chen, who had such a vast amount of magical energy, it was a joke to compete with him in terms of consumption. Jiang Chen was never afraid to compete in terms of consumption. Moreover, the divine elephant overpowering strength, the ancient mammoths could suppress hell forever. Their magical energy was terrifyingly abundant. Otherwise, they would not be able to suppress hell forever. Not to mention, there was still the furnace in his body that could provide Jiang Chen with an endless supply of energy. Qiyu, who was in the fragments of the furnace, should have absorbed almost all of the Buddha demon ripple source. At that time, Jiang Chen would also receive 90% of the feedback. Without mentioning anything else, Yun Che's magic power was definitely one of the most powerful existences in the world. He would not be afraid even if they were to compete here for a year. Therefore, for a moment, Jiang Chen and the 5 immortal realm experts were in a stalemate. Jin Hua and Kong Feng could only suppress Jiang Chen but could not do anything to him. Moreover, they did not dare to stop for a moment as they were afraid of Jiang Chen's counterattack. They did not dare to stop spewing out divine light from their mouths. Although Jiang Chen was secretly communicating with the Dei Sun, breaking heaven, punishing divine Bao to find a chance to counterattack and kill a few more immortal realm experts, he could not do it. After all, it was impossible for him to withdraw the bell of beginnings and attack again. He was afraid that he would be hit by the divine light first. After all, the gap between their realms was still quite big. If he was hit, he was afraid that even with his eternal immortal body, he would suffer some damage. Moreover, the magical energy in his body was extremely abundant. There was no need to worry about consumption at all. Let's see who would be the first to give up. Just like that, the sky was in a stalemate. Such a scene was witnessed by the people of the Tai Sacred Ground, the Golden-Winged Great Peng Clan and the Peacock Clan. They could feel the stalemate between Jiang Chen and the 5 experts. If Jiang Chen won, then the people of the Golden-Winged Great Peng Clan and the Peacock Clan who stayed here would definitely die. Similarly, if Jin Hua and Kong Feng won, then the people of the Tai Sacred Ground would definitely be slaughtered. At such a critical moment, as their lives were at stake, everyone stared fixedly at the sky, not daring to slack off in the slightest. During this period of time, the people of the 2 clans no longer had the mood to attack the Tai Sacred Ground, because they knew that if Jiang Chen won, it would be meaningless even if they massacred the entire Tai Sacred Ground. At that time they would still not be able to escape death. At the same time, if Jiang Chen was defeated by the experts of the 2 clans and fell, it would not be too late for them to slaughter him then. Hence, above the void, endless divine light formed a divine fire, burning Jiang Chen and the Bell of Beginnings. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these 2 days, all the forces in the Xuanhuan Great World knew about the great battle in front of the Tai Sacred Ground. The 4 great empires of Chongyang, the remaining 6 Tai Sacred Grounds, the Western Desert Buddhism, the Yinyang sect and some other sects that were not qualified to be called sacred grounds were all extremely shocked. Everyone knew that this astonishing battle was related to the future of the Xuanhuan Great World. Chapter 271. All the major powers came to watch the battle. Some came to probe the situation and some came to watch the battle. It's said that the net has turned against the head. At the place where the Tai Sacred Ground was located, there were many figures floating above the surrounding mountains and the void. Everyone stared at the battlefield with sparkling eyes, their faces filled with shock. They saw that the Golden-Winged Great Rock Clan and the Peacock Clan had sent out so many experts to attack the Tai Sacred Ground. What was more shocking was that Jiang Chen and the Tai Sacred Ground were able to stop the aggressive and powerful Golden-Winged Great Rock Clan and the Peacock Great Rock Clan. However, everyone knew that the main reason why the Tai Sacred Ground was able to stop the Golden-Winged Great Rock Clan and the Peacock Clan was because of Jiang Chen, the Tai Sacred Ground. The people of all the major powers. Looking at the 5 figures that were in a stalemate in the 9 heavens, everyone was shocked and amazed. Is that the new Saint Lord of the Tai Sacred Ground, Jiang Chen? He was actually able to resist 5 immortals with his strength alone. It's too terrifying. Someone flew over and landed on a mountain 10,000 li away from the Tai Sacred Ground, looking at the stalemate in the 9 heavens. Chimi said in shock. Brother, I'm afraid that's not all. Look at the 2 leaders, they're obviously stronger. Maybe they're not ordinary immortal realm experts. In fact, there were already a lot of people standing on this mountaintop. Some of the more perceptive ones glanced at the newcomer with disdain. He said in a contemptuous tone. Are you saying that the 2 of them have already broken through the ancient saint realm? The newcomer said in shock. If that's the case, then this Jiang Chen, the Tai Sacred Lord, is really too terrifying. Of course not. The newcomer rolled his eyes and said speechlessly. Also, then you're saying? The newcomer was surprised. Of course he's half a step into the ancient saint realm. He's tainted with 2 strands of the ancient saint's holy intent. The newcomer explained impatiently. Oh, even so, it's still terrifying. You should know that the Tai Sacred Lord is only at the immortal creator realm. The newcomer exclaimed. That's enough to make you all gasp in amazement. At this moment, a figure in the corner snorted as he looked at the 2 people who were talking. His tone seemed to be even more disdainful than the person who had explained earlier. His words were filled with a faint sense of pretentiousness. This kind of attitude instantly attracted the attention of a small group of people nearby. They all gathered around and asked curiously, King Country, do you know anything about this exchange room? Looking at the attention of the people next to him, as well as the date, his expression showed that the young man's vanity had been greatly gratified. Born? Nodding, Ran Tian spoke indifferently. I was here before the battle. He was cultivating in this mountain range. As soon as they started fighting, I sensed it. Lord, the great Golden-Winged Peng Clan and the Peacock Clan. The reason they came to the Greater One Sacred Land this time was not so much to destroy the Greater One Sacred Plane, but to kill the Greater One Sacred Master. They had been trapped here for many days in order to force the Greater One Sacred Master to appear. Then, there were several experts of the immortal realm in the Greater One Sacred Master. In an instant they jumped up and surrounded the Greater One Sacred Master. The young man had a faint smile on his face. Lu Taotao continued to advance, but his words were still in the air. After he finished speaking, he was interrupted by someone. "You're not lying to us, right? Isn't it only Mei Yi who is attacking Tai Holy Master? Did you bring more than 10 people?" One person directly questioned him. Hearing this questioning voice, everyone looked at him. They all looked at the young man with disdain. They looked at the others as if they didn't believe him. The young man immediately became anxious and immediately opened his mouth to explain. "You little brat. What do you know? The other 10 people were naturally killed by the Greater One Sacred Master. Are you playing with me, scholar? That Wasa peerless expert of the immortal realm. How could someone like Sun Chang kill him just like that? I would believe it if he said that he killed 1 or 2 people. Killing you is a bit too much." That's right. It's impossible." The surrounding people started to speak. Almost everyone didn't believe what he said. The person who believed him blushed and wanted to argue. However, no one was listening to him anymore. Wang Yi angrily roared, "Pass. Believe it or not, when the time comes you will know." These 5 people were definitely no match for the Greater One Sacred Master. They would be killed very soon. Aside from this mountain, the Greater One Sacred Master was actually very powerful. There were many mountains in the surrounding 10,000 miles. Similar scenes were happening. Some people thought that Jiang Chen had already killed them. 10 Immortal Realm experts. Some people thought that the boastful person was exaggerating and didn't really believe him. But no matter what, after hearing such words, they all became interested in the battle. They all paid attention to Jiang Chen's battle. Even more so. After witnessing such a battle, it was enough for them to go back and boast in front of their friends. In the midst of the myriad Tao crescent moon, above the 9 heavens, the battle continued. No, it was an anxious stalemate. It was now the 3rd day that Jiang Chen was trapped by the divine fire. During these 3 days of stalemate, Jiang Chen had been suppressed. At the beginning of the battle, he seemed to be in a disadvantageous position. The state of the enemies on both sides had a lot of magical power. Jiang Chen couldn't break out of the trap. Jin Hua and Feng didn't dare to relax in the slightest. They were afraid that if there was a chance, Jiang Chen would recover. But after 3 days, Jin Hua and Feng Wu Jin Hua and the others were speechless. They were speechless to find that Jiang Chen was inside the Bell of No Beginning. In an extremely calm state, he didn't feel the weakness of Chu Hao at all. On the contrary, the 5 of them were in a tense state because their energy was at its maximum output. They were mentally and physically exhausted. Could it be that this kid is playing us? It seems that he's already at the end of his rope. His internal energy is on the verge of exhaustion. Is he trying to deceive us? Jin Hua and Feng Wu thought so. They didn't dare to let down their guard. They had been using the slightest bit of energy. And so, this process continued for another 4 hours. The Bell of No Beginning. Jiang Chen was still extremely calm. His expression was calm and he had no energy consumption at all. But Jin Hua and the others were somewhat persevering. Of course, it wasn't because their energy was exhausted. In just a few days, with their immortal body at the immortal realm, he wouldn't exhaust all of his magic power. But in these few days they had been using their energy. Is the maximum mana output? The body and the essence of the body do not get T-points to replenish and rest. There is a resemblance they couldn't hold on any longer. Now their whole bodies were sore. Their heads were a little cracked. This was the aftereffect of being in a tense state. Of course, more importantly, their fragile meridians. During this period of time, they didn't know how much energy had flowed through their meridians. It seemed to have faintly exceeded the capacity of their meridians. Until now, all the meridians in their bodies, including Jin Hua and Feng Wu, had a trace of throbbing pain. Especially some of the most important meridians. Because they were the main meridians through which energy passed, they were even more miserable. Faintly they felt as if they were tearing. They sank their minds into their meridians and were shocked to find that there were actually some extremely fine cracks in these meridians. This was a sign that they were about to tear. We can't go on like this. At least we can't output so much energy anymore. We need to reduce it slightly to prevent our meridians from exploding. 01 Jin Hua, Feng Wu and the others thought so. If their meridians were really ruptured and they temporarily lost their combat strength, they were afraid that Jiang Chen would immediately take action and kill them all. Therefore, Jin Hua, Feng Wu and the others were somewhat helpless. They quietly relaxed a little and slightly reduced the supply of energy. The divine flame that shrouded the without beginning bell weakened a little. However, it only weakened a little, but it made Jiang Chen, who was inside the without beginning bell, instantly become serious. During this period of time, although Jiang Chen had also consumed some energy, the amount consumed was not as much as the amount replenished by the furnace in his body. Therefore, until now, Jiang Chen's energy was still in a state of being abundant. Moreover, his meridians were incomparably tough. There would never be a problem like Kong Feng and Jin Hua's meridians being torn. During this period of time, Jiang Chen had already thought of counterattacking. However, the divine light that shrouded him was at its peak state. There was no need for him to take the risk and rush out. However, it was different now. The weakening of the divine light outside was instantly felt by Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen decided to counterattack. After all, this battle had consumed too much time. It was somewhat beyond Jiang Chen's expectations. Moreover, during the time he was trapped, Jiang Chen faintly felt that a great change was about to happen in the profound yellow great world. He was afraid that it would come very soon. He did not have so much time to waste here. Moreover, even the golden-winged Great Rock clan and the Z-Peacock clan had already arrived at the black-yellow great world. Perhaps the people from the other Moktai world, the Thousand Red Tai world, and other worlds would soon arrive as well. The matter here must be resolved as soon as possible. Then I will kill you all in the shortest time possible. Jiang Chen thought so in his heart. He flipped his palm and two gilded divine bows appeared. One was the Tai Sunbreak divine bow. As soon as it appeared, there was an endless buzzing sound as if it was cheering. The will of the divine bow descended in this space, causing the space to slightly distort. It made people feel slightly uncomfortable. Not good. It's coming again. Our energy is almost depleted. How is it possible that he can still launch such a terrifying magical weapon to attack? Seeing Jiang Chen take out the Tai Sunbreak divine bow, Jin Hua, Kong Feng and the others who were secretly meditating were instantly awakened. Increase the output of energy, stop him from pulling the bow. Panic rose in their hearts. The five of them hurriedly calmed their minds and chanted incantations non-stop. The magic power in their bodies was like a flowing river that flowed endlessly. They tried to interrupt Jiang Chen with their energy. Shit. However, at this moment the five of them were startled. Then Yulu was in pain. My scripture. The corners of their mouths were full of bitterness. At this moment they suddenly increased the flow of their energy. For a moment, their meridians that were on the verge of being torn apart were instantly torn apart. The energy in their body suddenly went out of control. It was like a wild beast rampaging in their body. The five of them turned pale at the same time, and then they spurted out a mouthful of blood. This rampaging energy has actually shaken my lungs. At the same time, the divine light that they spurted out was greatly reduced. It was only 1/10 or 2/10 of what it was before. This situation immediately made Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. The remaining divine light is the same as the attack of an immortal realm expert. It's even slightly weaker. It's no longer a threat to me. Jiang Chen was overjoyed. He immediately kept the without beginning bell and exposed his body to the divine light. Below. Suddenly the divine light completely covered Jiang Chen. Then it turned into divine fire, burning Jiang Chen's body. Even with Jiang Chen's body he could faintly feel pain. However, Jiang Chen did not care about it. This was a great opportunity that he could not miss. Immortal, ancient, indestructible body. Jiang Chen shouted softly, "All right." Immediately activated the immortal, ancient, indestructible body art in his body. He cast it on his physical body and his divine body to resist the powerful divine light. With the support of the immortal, ancient, indestructible body and the strength of the saint body, Jiang Chen was able to withstand the divine light. The pain that Jiang Chen felt was greatly reduced. It was within a tolerable range. Then Jiang Chen held the Tai breaking sun heaven punishing divine horse in his hand. He slowly drew the bow and assumed the standard posture of an archer. The Tai sun-slaying divine bow, which was emitting endless divine power, was not affected by the divine flames. Instead, it seemed to have become even more ferocious. Its entire body shook, and its divine power bloomed. Even the divine flames were temporarily pushed back a distance. It was at this moment that Jiang Chen's eyes were as sharp as a sword as he solemnly shouted, "Frost Hell Creation Heavenly Art." The wild power began to circulate through Jiang Chen's meridians in an exceedingly mysterious manner. It was like a silent roar. With Jiang Chen as the center, the temperature within 10,000 miles suddenly dropped. Soon it was below the freezing point. Wisps of cold air appeared, forming boundless white snow. Snowflakes condensed and goose feather snowflakes drifted down. 3 extremely cold arrows were formed on the bowstring of the Tai-E breaking sun heaven punishing divine bow in Jiang Chen's hand. They were emitting a terrifying chill. At this moment, 3 terrifying crises that could make one tremble suddenly appeared in the hearts of Jin Hua, Kong Xian and the others. This sense of crisis was too frightening. It also locked onto them. No matter what, they could not avoid it. They could not escape from the fate of death. At this moment everyone, their faces were filled with bitterness. They all knew that death had not come yet. Although it had not come yet, it had already become a foregone conclusion. Law change in novel net. Chapter 272. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 18 days had passed. In these 18 days, Chu Haoshuan mined in the dark spirit mine during the day to accumulate ordinary iron ores. At night, he would use the ore synthesis technique to synthesize spirit iron ores. After that, he would begin his cultivation. Every day he would do 3 things in a row. In these 18 days, Chu Haoshuan had used the ore synthesis technique to synthesize 18 pieces of spirit iron ores. In addition, Chu Haoshuan had also dug up more than 20 pieces of spirit iron ores in the dark spirit mine. He handed in all of these spirit iron ores. In addition to the harvest from a few days ago, he had successfully collected 30 pieces of spirit iron ores from the Myriad Sword sect every month. According to the rules of the Myriad Sword sect, if an outer disciple wanted to go out, he had to complete the monthly mission in advance. He had to return before the beginning of the next month. Chu Haoshuan already had a place to trade spirit iron ores in mind. However, that place was a little far from the dark spirit mine. It would take a few days to go back and forth. If he spent too much time on completing the sect mission, he would not have enough time. Originally, Chu Haoshuan thought that if he could not complete the mission in these few days, he might as well hand in some of the spirit iron ores that he had synthesized. However, he did not expect that he would gain a lot in these 2 days and quickly complete the sect mission. After completing the mission, Chu Haoshuan registered with Deacon Du, one of the 7 deacons of the dark spirit mine. After receiving a token to go out, he left the dark spirit mine. After leaving the dark spirit mine, Chu Haoshuan immediately changed into an ordinary gray robe to conceal his identity as a disciple of the Myriad Sword sect. After that, he relied on the memory in his mind to determine the direction. Then he cast a wind manipulation technique on himself and quickly left the dark spirit mine. In the Great Yin dynasty, many sects would set up trading markets within their territory for their disciples to trade with the outside world. The Tianfeng sect was the #1 righteous sect in the Great Yin dynasty. Naturally, there were many trading markets within their territory. Among them, there were a few trading markets that were famous throughout the Great Yin dynasty. Feng Yun Market was one of them. The reason why Feng Yun Market was so famous was not only because of the protection of the Tianfeng sect, but also because of its unique geographical location. The Feng Yun Market was located at the intersection of the Myriad Sword sect, which was ranked 2nd among the righteous sects, and the Imperial Beast sect, which was ranked 4th among several other large and small sections. There were also several large mountain ranges around the market, which were rich in natural resources. In addition to the strict protection of the Tianfeng sect, many cultivator clans, sects and forces, as well as a large number of rogue cultivators, had decided to settle down here. Therefore, the Fengyun market was prosperous. 2 days later, Chu Haoshuan finally arrived at his destination, Storm Market. From a distance, Fengyun Market was no different from an ordinary city. The Fengyun Market was very large, with many streets and tens of thousands of buildings of various sizes. The buildings in the market were obviously divided into 2 parts. One part was residences with courtyards and the other part was shops for trading. Not only were there a large number of shops, but there were also various types of shops. Some were selling magic tools, talismans, incantations, materials, and spirit beasts. Anyway, as long as it was related to the category of cultivation, there was basically a corresponding shop. After walking around for a while, Chu Haoshuan really felt a little dazzled. However, he was very satisfied in his heart. The larger and more prosperous the Fengyun market was, it meant that he who only had 18 pieces of spirit iron ores, was almost impossible to attract the attention of others. This also meant that he was very safe. The reason why he gave up the spirit sword market of the Myriad Sword sect, which was very close to the dark spirit mineral vein, was for his own safety. After all, the spirit sword market was close to the dark spirit mineral vein. If he sold more than 10 pieces of spirit iron ores, it would easily attract the attention of others. Moreover, if he was recognized, it would be even worse. Therefore, Chu Haoshuan came to the Fengyun market from afar. At this time it was noon, and the Fengyun market was particularly lively. Stalls, traders and all kinds of people filled every corner of the Fengyun market. At this moment Chu Haoshuan was walking on the street, looking for a shop that was suitable for him. In Chu Haoshuan's opinion, a medium-sized shop that dealt in materials was the most suitable for his current situation. However, after searching for a long time he still couldn't find it. The shop was either too small or too big. There were even some that only had one stall. Suddenly, a shop came into Chu Haoshuan's sight. The name of the shop was very ordinary. It was called Precious or Shop. Moreover, it was not very big, which was very in line with Chu Haoshuan's standards. After turning around, Chu Haoshuan walked into the shop. There was only one counter in the shop, which was filled with all kinds of refining materials. Behind the counter was a white-haired old man. At this time he was looking at Chu Haoshuan with a smile on his face as he walked into the shop. When Chu Haoshuan walked to the counter, the old man chuckled and said, "What do you need? Our shop has a wide variety of goods and all kinds of materials are available." Looking at the old man, Chu Haoshuan said in a flat voice, "I'm not here to buy anything but to sell something. Do you accept ores for refining?" Hearing that Chu Haoshuan was here to sell something, the old man's smile immediately faded. He said in a slightly cold voice, "Of course we accept ores for refining. What kind of ores do you want to sell?" Sensing the change in the old man's expression, Chu Haoshuan didn't care. His expression was still calm as he said, "Does your shop accept spirit iron ores?" "Spirit iron ores, yes. 9 low-grade spirit stones for 1 spirit iron ores." The old man nodded and said, 9 low-grade spirit stones? Shouldn't it be 10 low-grade spirit stones? Chu Haoshuan asked with some doubt. "Dear customer, you must be joking. 10 low-grade spirit stones is the price we sell for a single spirit stone. Sometimes if customers buy more it will be cheaper, so we can only accept 9. After all, we have to make a profit too, right?" The old man looked like he didn't want to make money. Chu Haoshuan nodded. He knew that the old man was definitely not telling the truth. However, he didn't want to bicker with the old man over a few low-grade spirit stones, so he calmly took out 18 spirit iron ores from his storage pouch and handed them to the old man. The old man took the spirit iron ores and picked up one of the spirit iron ores. He looked at it and nodded. "Yes, there are no impurities. The quality of this spirit iron ores is very good." At this moment, he had already recovered his happy expression from before. There was even a trace of excitement. It was clear that accepting the spirit iron ores for 9 low-grade spirit stones had completely changed his attitude. After looking at the 18 spirit iron ores, the old man took out the spirit stones and handed them to Chu Haoshuan. He said excitedly, "Fellow cultivator, next time you have spirit iron ores like this, I hope you can consider sending them to me. If there are more, I can give you a higher price." Chu Haoshuan smiled and nodded. He didn't consider sending them here next time. Looking at the old man's reaction, it was clear that the spirit iron ores he synthesized were of better quality and could be sold for more spirit stones. Although he didn't care about a few spirit stones, he didn't want to let others take advantage of him. After putting away the spirit stones, Chu Haoshuan wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, he looked at the materials on the counter. Seeing that Chu Haoshuan was looking at the materials, the old man happily said, "Dear customer, which do you like? I can give you a cheaper price." The old man clearly thought that Chu Haoshuan had agreed. He had a good impression of Chu Haoshuan. "I'm just looking around," Chu Haoshuan replied. Look around," the old man said with a smile. Not all of the refining materials on the counter were ores. The types of ores only took up about half of the space on the counter. Although the ores only took up half of the space on the counter, there were still dozens of them. Chu Haoshuan could only recognize a dozen or so ores with his memory. Spirit copper ores, spirit silver ores, spirit gold ores. Some of the ores that Chu Haoshuan recognized were about the same price as spirit iron ores. Some were much more expensive than spirit iron ores. As for the ores that he couldn't recognize, they were obviously worth a lot. Although the prices of these ores were different, they were undoubtedly very good materials for cultivators to refine equipment. The spirit iron ores were very envious. However, Chu Haoshuan knew that these ores weren't suitable for him at the moment. After all, his cultivation was too low and he couldn't use these ores to refine equipment. Moreover, if he wanted to use them to exchange for spirit stones, the materials would also be a problem. Although they weren't suitable for him to synthesize, it didn't mean that he couldn't use the ore synthesizing technique to scan the materials of these ores. However, after thinking about it, Chu Haoshuan gave up on this idea. After all, It was impossible for the old man who was looking at him with an expectant expression to touch the ores on the counter without buying them. Moreover, his actions were a little suspicious. Moreover, he couldn't use the ores for the time being. Therefore, Chu Haoshuan gave up after thinking about it. He planned to buy the ores in the future when he had enough spirit stones. In the southern part of the Great Yin Dynasty, there was a spiritual mountain called the Dark Spiritual Mountain. It towered into the clouds and was majestic and strange. It stretched for hundreds of miles. Strange flowers and strange beasts could be seen everywhere on the mountain. It was one of the most famous spiritual mountains among the countless mountains in the southern part of the Great Yin Dynasty. The famous cultivation sect, the Myriad Sword sect, had a low-grade or vein located in this mountain. It was called the Dark Spiritual or Vein. At this moment, in one of the mines in the Dark Spiritual or Vein, Chu Haoshuan held a hoe in his hand and swung it at the mine wall in front of him with all his might. As he waved the pickaxe in his hand, a faint wave of magic power was emitted from his body. Every time the pickaxe came into contact with the mine wall, it would leave a deep hole in the mine wall, and a few ordinary iron stones would emerge from it. Not long after, dozens of ordinary ores appeared in front of Chu Haoshuan. Bang! Once again, he swung the hoe in his hand at the mine wall and a few ordinary ores fell to the ground. Chu Haoshuan slowly put away the hoe and took out a bottle of water from his storage ring. He drank a few mouthfuls slowly and planned to recover the magic power that he had consumed. Sitting cross-legged, Chu Haoshuan began to meditate and cultivate. However, his expression was a little absent-minded. His consciousness had unknowingly returned to the time when he was still on Earth. After thinking for a while, Chu Haoshuan shook his head and stopped himself from thinking about it. This was because everything on Earth had left him the moment he had transmigrated. Chu Haoshuan did not complain about what had happened to him, nor did he feel indignant. After experiencing a series of mixed emotions such as shock and disbelief after his transmigration, he had completely accepted his new identity and even began to like life in this world. After all, in the past, other than going to work, he spent most of his remaining time playing Glory. However, no matter how realistic the scene in the game was, it was still an illusion. Therefore, after transmigrating and reincarnating in the real cultivation world as an orphan, he had adapted and liked this world. In this world he could truly cultivate and seek the Tao. Although his reincarnated body's aptitude was not good and he was only an outer disciple with a very low cultivation and did not have anything to rely on, Chu Haoshuan did not feel dissatisfied at all. He was confident that he could rely on his own efforts to walk his own path of cultivation. Moreover, no matter what the result was, as long as he worked hard and struggled, he would have no regrets. He would have no regrets. He would have no regrets. Moreover, it was not as if he did not have anything to rely on. Chu Haoshuan shook his head and withdrew his chaotic thoughts. His eyes, which were somewhat blurred due to his memories, were once again filled with determination. His body slightly stabilized, and after closing his eyes, he began to circulate his Fa Li to recover his Fa Li. In a while, he would continue to mine and work hard to dig out a piece of spirit iron stone. As long as he could dig out a piece of spirit ores, he would be able to solve his monthly tasks and cultivation needs for a period of time. Chu Haoshuan was currently in the Great Yin Dynasty. There were many cultivation sects in the Great Yin Dynasty, but there were 7 main cultivation sections. Among them, 4 were the righteous Tao and 3 were the demonic Tao. The Myriad Sword sect was ranked second among the righteous Tao and was famous in the cultivation world for their sword cultivation techniques. The dark spirit or vein was a vein that mainly produced spirit ores. Although it was not as important as spirit stone veins or strange stone veins, the dark spirit or vein was still very important to the heavenly sword sect as it produced the most commonly used refining material in the cultivation world, spirit ores. There were 3 foundation establishment cultivators overseeing the dark spirit or vein. Of course, foundation establishment cultivators did not care about anything and were only responsible for the safety of the dark spirit or vein. Under them, there were 6 great deacons at the peak of the 12th level of Qi condensation who were in charge of the dark spirit or vein. They were in charge of the 6 large mines in the dark spirit or vein. Under the management of the 6 great deacons, there were also more than 10 junior deacons. These junior deacons had different cultivation levels, but they were all at the 8th level of Qi condensation and above. They helped the 6 great deacons manage the 6 large mines in the dark spirit or vein. Below these deacons were, of course, the miners. These miners weren't ordinary people, they were also outer sect disciples of the Myriad Sword sect. However, their aptitude wasn't good and their cultivation was very low. As cultivators, they were not forced to mine in the dark spirit or vein, but were completely willing to do so. This was because mining in the dark spirit or vein was not bad. Every month, as long as they handed over a certain amount of spirit iron or vein, they would be able to enjoy the myriad sword sect's treatment of 10 low-grade spirit stones per month. They would also be able to choose from the dark spirit or veins library pavilion, although those cultivation methods and magic techniques were the most basic ones. Moreover, if you handed over a certain amount of spirit iron or vein each month, you would be able to exchange it for additional spirit stones as a reward. If you did not want spirit stones, you could also exchange it for the myriad sword sect's contribution points. These contribution points could be used to exchange for high-level cultivation methods, magic treasures, medicinal pills, countless things. It could be said that as long as you had enough contribution points, you could exchange for anything you wanted. If you became a Foundation Establishment disciple, you would be accepted into the inner sect and become a true disciple of the Myriad Sword sect. You would be able to enjoy the cultivation resources provided by the Myriad Sword sect's inner sect disciples. These were resources that would make people drool. In addition, as long as you made enough contributions to the Myriad Sword sect, you would also be accepted as an inner sect disciple and be given a Foundation Establishment pill. It was because of this generous treatment that many people were willing to become an outer sect disciple of the Myriad Sword sect. In the past, Chu Haoshuan also valued the treatment provided by the Myriad Sword sect. He wanted to use this opportunity to become an inner sect disciple of the Myriad Sword sect and then return home in glory. That was why he came to the Great Yan Dynasty's Myriad Sword sect to become an outer sect disciple of the Myriad Sword sect. Unfortunately, because he was in a hurry to cultivate, he made a mistake while circulating his cultivation method and died. Chu Haoshuan, who had transmigrated, borrowed his body to be reborn. After being reborn and receiving the memories of this body, after some consideration, he decided to continue cultivating here. The previous owner of this body was a direct descendant of a small cultivation clan. Small cultivation clans had very few resources to begin with. Moreover, because of his aptitude in cultivation, he was not favored by the clan. Therefore, there was no possibility of the clan providing him with cultivation resources. As a loose cultivator, he had to search for his own resources. Without strength, he might not be able to break through to the Foundation Establishment stage even after 70 or 90 years of age. Moreover, Qi condensation stage cultivators only had a lifespan of 100 years. The cultivation world was still very dangerous. After thinking about it, Chu Haoshuan finally decided that staying as an outer sect disciple of the Myriad Sword sect was the best choice. Thus, Chu Haoshuan began his life as a cultivator of the Myriad Sword sect. Looking at the dark and shiny spirit iron ore in his hand, Chu Haoshuan let out a sigh of relief. A look of joy flashed across his eyes. After digging in the mine for a long time, he finally managed to dig out a spirit iron ore. Chu Haoshuan's right hand couldn't help but grip the spirit iron ore tightly. Then he closed his eyes and began to attach his consciousness to the spirit iron ore in his right hand. Then bit by bit he increased his consciousness. As time passed, Chu Haoshuan completely attached his consciousness to the spirit iron ore. A mechanical voice rang out in his head. Discovered low-grade spirit iron ore. Spirit iron ore. Ordinary iron ore that has been contaminated with spirit qi and has evolved over a long period of time. It is one of the most commonly used refining materials in the cultivation world. Synthesis requirement: 5 ordinary iron ores plus 1 low-grade spirit stone. Chapter 273. The sudden notification did not surprise Chu Haoshuan at all. There was no fear on his face. On the contrary, his eyes were filled with excitement. This was not the first time he had heard the notification. He was afraid at first, but after understanding where the notification came from, Chu Haoshuan was overjoyed. This time he could finally use the ore synthesis skill to synthesize spiritual iron ores. That was right. This was the ore synthesis technique, which was Chu Haoshuan's greatest trump card. After Chu Haoshuan had transmigrated, he realized that the mining godly skill that he had just obtained in the game and had not had the time to test its power had also transmigrated with him. In the beginning, after Chu Haoshuan confirmed that he had transmigrated, he had hoped that he would have his own Goldfinger just like in the novels. However, after spending half a month peacefully, Chu Haoshuan was disappointed. Nothing strange happened to him and he did not have any strange abilities. He was ordinary. Among the outer disciples of the Myriad Sword sect, he was like an invisible person. He was disheartened. His situation was the complete opposite of the main character in the novels. Could it be that he was not the main character at all? Was he dreaming? In the end, Chu Haoshuan gave up and thought it through. If he was not the main character, he would not be the main character. He had to live his life. For the sake of future cultivation resources, Chu Haoshuan decisively returned to his old profession and became a member of the mining army. However, on the first day of mining, when Chu Haoshuan focused on a piece of ordinary ore that he had dug out, a familiar system notification rang in his mind. At that moment, Chu Haoshuan was stunned. Soon after, he reacted and his face was filled with excitement. The ore synthesis skill, the godly skill that he had just obtained in the game. Was this his gold finger? In order to verify his guess, Chu Haoshuan casually picked up a few ordinary ores from the mine and placed them together with a piece of spiritual stone. Then he began to use the ore synthesis skill. A moment later, Chu Haoshuan watched as the ordinary ores and spirit stones turned into ordinary iron stones under a white light. His heart was filled with ecstasy. In the following period, Chu Haoshuan would experiment with the ore synthesis skill whenever he had the chance. He realized that the ore synthesis skill could only be used once a day. If he wanted to synthesize an ore, he would have to master the composition of the ore in advance. Then he would have to gather the required ores to meet his requirements. With the ore synthesis technique, at least I won't have to start from scratch, and my future won't be so bleak. Although Chu Haoshuan already possessed a heaven-defying skill like the ore synthesis technique, he didn't become arrogant and conceited, nor did he think that he was invincible. The ore synthesis technique only gave him the confidence to compete with a group of immortal cultivation geniuses. It gave him the motivation to constantly improve on the path of immortal cultivation. In the end, he still had to rely on himself to be down to earth and work hard step by step. After experimenting for a while, Chu Haoshuan decided to use the ore synthesis technique to synthesize spirit iron ores. With his current cultivation, he wouldn't be able to come into contact with ores that were too high grade. Even if he did come into contact with them, he definitely wouldn't be able to synthesize high-quality ores with his current wealth. Furthermore, the dark spirit or vein that he was in right now mainly produced spirit iron ores. Ordinary iron ores could be dug up anywhere and taken away at will. Ordinary iron ores weren't very valuable to immortal cultivators. The amount of spirit iron ores inside was very small and couldn't be directly used to refine equipment. Unless a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator used innate true fire to refine the spirit iron ores inside the ordinary iron ores. However, doing so would take a long time and result would be poor. Foundation Establishment realm cultivators simply wouldn't do it. As for renting the earth fire that even Qi condensation realm cultivators could use to refine the ores, there was no need to even think about it. The cost of renting the ores was much higher than the value of the spirit iron ores after refining the ores. Therefore, almost no one in the immortal cultivation world cared about the ordinary iron ores. This also provided Chu Haoshuan with convenience. In this way, other than the problem of spirit iron ores, he didn't have to worry about the synthesis materials. The market price of spirit iron ores was around 10 low-grade spirit stones. Synthesizing one spirit iron ores required one low-grade spirit stone. This way, Chu Haoshuan would have 9 low-grade spirit stones for every spirit iron ores he synthesized. Moreover, spirit iron ores were required for the outer court disciples' monthly missions. Therefore, Chu Haoshuan set his sights on spirit iron ores and prepared to synthesize them. However, because the spirit iron ores would be confiscated the moment they left the mine, Chu Haoshuan did not have any spirit iron ores with him. Therefore, Chu Haoshuan could only wait for the spirit iron ores to be excavated before scanning the spirit iron ores. That was why the scene from before had occurred. After putting the spirit iron ores into his storage pouch, Chu Haoshuan put away the mining hoe and a few piles of ordinary ores into his storage pouch. After that, he cast a wind-controlling spell on himself and quickly flew towards the entrance of the cave. When he approached the cave entrance, the figures of 2 men appeared before Chu Haoshuan's eyes. One of them was tall and sturdy with a square face and a big beard. He gave off a very forthright feeling. The other was a little thin, but his face was very handsome. There was a faint smile on his face. Coupled with the simple clothes of the 10,000 Sword sect, he looked very elegant. According to the memories of his body, Chu Haoshuan knew that the forthright man was the small deacon of this mine. His name was Zhao Tianhe. The other elegant man was an outer court disciple like him. His name was Su Qingxian. The two of them lived next to each other. In his memories, Chu Haoshuan had a good relationship with Su Qingxian. Seeing Chu Haoshuan arrive, Zhao Tianhe smiled and said, "Junior brother Chu, you came out so early. Is it because you dug up a few spirit iron ores?" There was a trace of forthrightness in his voice, giving off a very friendly feeling. However, according to the memories of his body, Chu Haoshuan knew that although this person looked forthright and friendly, he was not someone who was easy to get along with. Thus, Chu Haoshuan did not get too close to him. He said with a calm expression, "Deacon Zhao, you must be joking. I don't know if it's because my luck is bad today. I've only dug up 1 spirit iron ore since this morning. I'm going to go back early and come back tomorrow." As he spoke, he naturally took out the spirit iron ores and handed them over. He did not show any joy from digging up the spirit iron ores. "Hee, junior brother, don't be sad. This is a common thing in mines. Just dig in a different place tomorrow." Zhao Qinhe smiled as he took the spirit iron ores from Chu Yun. After looking at the spirit iron ores in his hand, Zhao Qinhe nodded and put them into the storage pouch beside him. Then he looked at Chu Haoshuan with a serious expression and said, "Although junior brother only dug up 1 spirit iron ores, you still have to use a magic tool to check your storage pouch. After all, this is the rule. Junior brother, don't blame senior brother." "Why would I? Checking is necessary. After all, the rules cannot be ignored." Chu Haoshuan did not feel surprised or uncomfortable with the sudden change in Zhao Tianhe's expression. The cultivation world was such a place. The other party might be smiling at you one moment, but in the next moment they might kill you and steal your treasures. In the end, the cultivation world was a place where strength spoke. After all, Zhao Tianhe was a Qi condensation stage level 9 cultivator while he was only at Qi condensation stage level 6. If he was at foundation establishment stage, Zhao Tianhe might have a different expression. After handing the storage pouch to Zhao Tianhe, Chu Haoshuan turned to look at Su Qingxian and said, "Senior brother came out so early today. You look so happy. You must have a big harvest, right?" "I was lucky to dig up 3 spirit iron ores." Su Qingxian had a humble expression. Chu Haoshuan cupped his hands. 3. Then I must congratulate senior brother Su. You must have more time to cultivate this month." "I was just lucky," Su Qingxian said with a smile. As he spoke, Zhao Tianhe handed over the storage pouches that the two of them had checked with their magic tools. The two of them accepted the pouches and did not say anything to Zhao Tianhe. Instead, after bidding farewell, they floated back to their residence. In the 10,000 Swords sect, every outer sect disciple who was in charge of mining would have their own residence. Although it was only a single room and a small courtyard, it was a good place for outer sect disciples to cultivate with simple restrictions and the high concentration of spirit energy in the Dark Spirit Mountain. After parting ways with Su Qingxian, Chu Haoshuan returned to his courtyard. The moment he entered the house, he activated the courtyard's restriction. Although the ore synthesis technique wasn't as dangerous as cultivation, it wouldn't be a good thing if someone were to find out about such a heaven-defying ability. Of course, Chu Haoshuan had to be extra careful. From his storage pouch, Chu Haoshuan took out the spirit iron ores that he had dug up in the mine. After a quick count, there was a large pile of over 400 pieces. Considering that he only had 19 low-grade spirit stones in his storage pouch, Chu Haoshuan decided to keep 1 low-grade spirit stone as a backup and use the remaining 18 low-grade spirit stones to synthesize spirit iron ores. In this way, after 18 days he would have 18 spirit iron ores. According to the price of 10 low-grade spirit stones per spirit iron ores, he would have a total of 180 low-grade spirit stones. After that, he would be able to buy a few bottles of spirit pills to help with his cultivation. After a few days of cultivation, Chu Haoshuan deeply understood his own aptitude. Even if he used spirit stones to cultivate for a night, the progress he could make was really pitiful. If he didn't have spirit pills to supplement it, he really didn't know how many years he would need to cultivate to the 12th layer of Qi refining stage. As for breaking through from Qi refining stage to foundation establishment stage, it was even more impossible. Fortunately, he had the ore synthesis technique. Otherwise, Chu Haoshuan, who had just crossed over, really didn't know how to solve the cultivation problem for the time being. Chu Haoshuan's left hand grabbed the common iron ores. 5 common iron ores quickly flew up and floated above his left hand. Then he took out a low-grade spirit stone from his storage pouch and held it with his right hand. After that, he concentrated his mind and poured it into the 5 common iron ores and the spirit stone. Then he silently chanted the word synthesize in his heart. At this time, 2 balls of white light suddenly appeared above his hands. They wrapped around 5 ordinary iron stones and 1 low-grade spirit stone respectively. Then a finger-thick white light beam appeared in a flash, and connected the 2 balls of white light. Suddenly, the 2 balls of white light shone brightly, and after a burst of dazzling flashes, the 2 balls of white light shone brightly. After a moment of dazzling light, a piece of black and bright spirit iron ores floated in front of Chu Haoshuan. Looking at the spirit iron ores in front of his chest, Chu Haoshuan nodded in satisfaction. He then put the spirit iron ores into another storage pouch and hid it well. He didn't want to hand over a spirit iron ores that was synthesized from a low-grade spirit stone to the Myriad Sword sect. Although this could help him complete the mission and he could exchange the spirit iron ores for spirit stones and contribution points, Chu Haoshuan didn't want to do this. After all, handing over dozens of spirit iron ores every month would definitely arouse suspicion. Moreover, the amount of spirit iron ores he gave out wasn't a lot, so it was easy for others to covet it. Therefore, Chu Haoshuan felt that it was better to do everything in secret. After synthesizing the spirit iron ores, Chu Haoshuan sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. Although the progress he made every night was pitifully small, it was better than no progress at all. Cultivation required constant effort. Just like how a small stream could become a vast ocean after many years, a small improvement every night would become a huge improvement after many years. Chu Haoshuan had a deep understanding of this. In 2050 AD, a large-scale virtual online game, Glory, appeared in the world. For a moment it shook the world. Glory was claimed to have 100% realism and could be called the second world of mankind. Less than a year after Glory appeared, all kinds of popular game companies that used to be popular all over the world announced their downfall. Regardless of gender, age, or gender, they all flocked to Glory. The two words Glory could be seen everywhere in advertisements, on posters, on television, and in the streets and alleys. It was completely popular all over the world. Glory, District 1009, Yellow Dragon Town, Lingshui or Mountain. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. My mining skill can reach the Grandmaster level. In an inconspicuous mine in Lingshui or Mountain, a young man in black clothes had an excited expression on his face. He was even mumbling something under his breath. Chu Haoshuan looked at the status panel in his mind with an excited expression. Character: Chu Haoshuan. Profession: Mage, level 15, 450500. Skills: Fireball Illumination. Secondary profession: Miner, level 99, 9990100000. Equipment: Rock Breaker Hole Woyang Shovel. These were Chu Haoshuan's game stats in Glory. If others saw his status panel they would say that Chu Haoshuan was a weirdo. Glory borrowed from the old games and divided the professions into 5 categories: Mage, Swordsman, Warrior, Ranger, and Assassin. Of course, these were only the main professions. There were also many secondary professions such as tailoring, alchemy, crafting, or Chu Haoshuan was absent from work. Glory had been developed for 5 years since its release. Among them, there were some experts who had already reached level 90 and above. For someone like Chu Haoshuan who had been in the game for 5 years, his main profession was only level 15. It was really, Scorpion Poop was unique. But if one looked at Chu Haoshuan's secondary profession, it was still the same sentence. Scorpion Poop was unique. Let's talk about the reason for this. Chu Haoshuan, 24 years old, no house, no car, no girlfriend. He was a complete loser. After Glory was released, he was in the 4th batch of players to enter the game. When he first entered the game he was also ambitious. He held on to the dream of becoming a loser and dominating the entire server. But after he entered the game and put in a lot of effort, he woke up from his dream. Firstly, he didn't have the skills. Secondly, he didn't have the money to spend. He could only be at the bottom of the pack. But once, by chance, he accepted a strange mission and received a strange reward. Golden Hoe, special item effect. Increased the chances of digging out high-quality ores by 40%. Increased the experience gained from absenteeism by 3 times. Thus, Chu Haoshuan walked deeper and deeper on the path of mining. With the help of the Golden Hoe, Chu Haoshuan's experience in his absenteeism secondary profession increased rapidly. Looking at the remaining 10 experience points on his status panel, Chu Haoshuan couldn't help but take a deep breath. Today I will become the first man in the game to reach level 100. Although it was just an absenteeism. Then Chu Haoshuan waved the Golden Hoe in his hand and continued mining. I dig. After a while, congratulations to player Chu Haoshuan for becoming the first person to reach level 100 in the game. Special reward, godly skill or synthesis. Chapter 274. Jiang Chen's wings of freedom that were exuding boundless might suddenly flapped its wings. Under the beautiful white wings, a frenzied storm was set off. Under such a storm, Jiang Chen's figure disappeared from the void, leaving no trace behind. The divine wings of freedom had also disappeared without a trace. Only the chaotic storm was still sweeping at its original location. However, after a short while, the storm had also disappeared without a trace. However, everyone knew that Jiang Qin did not disappear. He was moving forward rapidly, chasing after the escaping golden-winged great roc in the peacock race. Under such extreme speed, even Li Daoi, who was also an immortal realm expert, could not sense Jiang Qin's trace in qi, let alone the others who had not even reached the fifth immortal realm. 10,000 miles away from the Tai Holy Land. Jiang Qin was moving forward rapidly in the void. Jiang Qin did not flap his wings of freedom anymore. He just opened his wings and glided freely. His divine wings of liberty merely flapped their wings a little, and they were already miles away. Speak of the net, the head of the enemy. Jiang Qin did not expect that he could reach such a far distance with just one flap. It seemed like his 013 divine wings of freedom had also improved greatly after he reached the immortal creator realm. VGW, come in? To think that he was hiding here. Suddenly Jiang Qin came to a halt. He was floating in the void, looking at a mountain range below and was surprised. Then, the corner of his mouth slightly curled up as if he had discovered something. With a slight flap of the divine wings of liberty, Jiang Qin's body disappeared from the high altitude of the sky. In the hidden place of the mountain range below, Jiang Qin's figure silently appeared in a dense forest. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He did not even look at it, but a divine light appeared in his hand. A ferocious black divine spear appeared in front of Jiang Qin. It looked like it came from hell, and it looked like it could pierce through everything. The spear of true God. This spear was worthy of being the weapon of the ghost god from hell. Its whole body was inscribed with frightening inscriptions. Its whole body was dark and sharp, exuding a sharp aura that could pierce through everything. Nothing could stop it in front of him. The nether deity spear went from being extremely still to extremely moving. It shot out explosively, creating a series of afterimages that shook the void. The spear of the underworld deity carried an extremely terrifying aura as it pierced towards the dense forest ahead. A soft sound rang out. The spear of the underworld deity disappeared into the air, but a violent gust of wind suddenly appeared from there, engulfing the surrounding trees. In 3 seconds, a large portion of the tree was torn to shreds. The shrill cries of the wild beasts rose one after another. The two ministers were in a bad position. This was enough to explain the situation here. Even after the rampaging underworld deity spear pierced through this place, it still didn't stop. It directly pierced through the entire mountain range. After flying out of the mountain range for tens of thousands of meters, the momentum of the spear finally weakened and disappeared. However, Jiang Qin's figure had already disappeared from the hidden place of the mountain range. He had gone to pursue the two demons. Outside the hidden place of the mountain range, if someone were to push aside the messy trees, they would find a new cave that had been temporarily opened. In the corner of the cave, there was the figure of a golden-robed youth. His aura was magnificent and violent. Obviously, he was a member of the golden-winged Great Peng clan. But now, the previously domineering golden-winged Great Peng youth had a ferocious look on his face. His eyes were bulging, his face was pale, his body was stiff, and his face was full of disbelief. In his abdomen there was a huge gaping wound. It lay there quietly, flowing with golden blood. This was caused by the spear of the underworld deity. Not only the crack, but the entire body of the golden-robed youth was completely destroyed by the aura of the ghost god of the underworld deity spear. There was no possibility of him coming back to life. The spear of the underworld deity was so domineering. At this moment, Jiang Qin was already thousands of miles away. He flapped the divine wings of liberty across the vast heavens and earth, constantly looking for the clansmen of the golden-winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan that were hiding in various places of the Taiji region. Then he used his powerful means to kill them all. Everyone, including the experts of the Longevity World King realm, was the same. Jiang Qin flew across the sky and fell from time to time, reaping the lives of the demons. In just 2 hours, many lives were reaped by Jiang Qin. Above the void, Jiang Qin's figure appeared once again as he flapped the divine wings of liberty. Just now he had killed another clansman of the Peacock clan. All the clansmen of the golden-winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan that besieged the Tai sacred ground were caught by Zheng Qin. Including the one he had just killed, all the clansmen of the two clans were killed by Jiang Qin. In the end, only Jin Hua and Kong Fengshi were left. You can't escape. Even if it's the Yellow Spring, I will descend like a god. Then I will take your lives. The corner of Jiang Qin's mouth slightly curved. With a flap of the divine wings of liberty, he disappeared without a trace. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had already passed. It was quite far away from the Tai sacred ground, almost reaching the northern sea. Above the void, there were 2 figures separated by thousands of miles. One was chasing and the other was running away. The one who was chasing was naturally Jiang Qin. The one who was running for his life was the leader of the golden-winged Great Peng clan, Jin Hua. Jin Hua and Kong Fengxi were indeed at the peak of the immortal realm and were about to step into the ancient saint realm. Moreover, they were running for their lives and had the upper hand. When they were chasing after Jiang Qin, they had brought some trouble to Jiang Qin. However, it was time to stop here today. 2 days ago, Jiang Qin had executed Kong Fengxi of the Peacock clan in a deep abyss. Among all the clansmen of the golden-winged Great Peng clan and the Peacock clan that appeared in the black-yellow Great World, only Jin Hua was left. And now, even Jin Hua was the last one left. Moreover, Jin Hua was already at the end of his tether. He could not hold on for long. Jiang Qin casually followed behind Jin Hua, slowly flapping the divine wings of liberty. Every flap of the wings would cover a distance of thousands of miles. Every time Jiang Qin flapped the divine wings of liberty, Jin Hua was in front of him. He was worried that Jiang Qin would catch up with him. Then he would ignite his blood essence and run for his life. During this period of time, he had been relying on the burning of his blood essence and his body. The golden-winged Great Peng clan's extreme speed had prevented Jiang Qin from catching up with him. But now there was not much blood essence left in Jin Hua's body that could be ignited. Moreover, because he had ignited too much blood essence, Jin Hua could feel that his body was getting heavier and heavier. It was getting harder and harder to control. It was as if he could fall from the sky at any time. Damn it! How could that fella's strength be so abundant? While Jin Hua was running, he looked back with fear. He found that the distance between him and Jiang Qin was not getting any further. Instead, Jiang Qin was getting closer and closer. How many times has Jiang Qin attacked? How much strength has he used? Why is he still full of strength? How much strength does he have? Jin Hua was cursing in his heart. He had never seen a freak like Jiang Qin before. It seemed like an ordinary sound of wind came from Song Hua's back. However, Jin Hua's expression changed drastically. Because he knew that this wasn't an ordinary wind, it was the sound of Jiang Qin's wings. Every time Jiang Qin's wings flapped, he would travel a long distance. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. I can't let him catch up with me, Jin Hua thought in his heart. Then he hurriedly ignited his blood essence. His body flashed and appeared a few thousand miles away. Just when he felt that he had put some distance between himself and Jiang Qin and could breathe a sigh of relief, his vision suddenly darkened. Following that, he felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. His body swayed and he felt like he was about to fall. Shit, my blood essence is running out. Jin Hua was terrified. Because the density of his blood essence had reached its lowest point, he felt like he was about to faint. I can't faint. 2-inch Jin Hua forced himself to stay awake. He controlled his body to fly further away. However, boom, an earth-shattering sound was heard. After Jin Hua flew a few miles away before he could fall into a coma, there was a huge fluctuation that fell on Jin Hua's head. Jin Hua was terrified. He wanted to check what the fluctuation was. However, before he had the time to check, he felt a slight pain from being squeezed, and then he lost consciousness. A few thousand miles away from Jin Hua, Jiang Qin, who was about to take Jin Hua's life, was startled. The infernal deity spear in his right hand had been about to hurl it out, but now he stopped. The infernal deity spear slowly dissipated. Of course, Jin Hua's death was not caused by Jiang Qin, although Jiang Qin wanted to kill him. However, before Jiang Qin could use his underworld deity spear, there was a huge wave of energy coming from the void above Jin Hua's head. Suddenly, a huge formation platform appeared in the void above Jin Hua. This incomparably powerful array platform was about 1,000 miles in size, like a mountain. It was inscribed with incomparably complex and profound array formations. Jiang Qin glanced at it and felt dizzy. He couldn't understand it at all. Was Pang Tai's incomparable array platform. It suddenly appeared in the void. Jin Hua from the golden-winged Great Rock clan rushed into the array platform. Then he silently dissolved into a pool of blood on the platform. In the end, he evaporated. Jiang Qin couldn't help but feel sorry for him. At that moment, it was floating quietly in the sky. It was emitting a mysterious aura. This aura seemed to contain the most profound mysteries. Jiang Qin only took a breath of it. He felt an incomparable sense of comfort. Since, Even the ancient mammoth seeds within his body began to faintly tremble, as if they were about to awaken in succession. This grass isn't immortal qi? Jiang Chen was a little surprised. The aura he had just inhaled was similar to the legendary immortal qi. That kind of aura didn't seem to belong to the mortal world. No, it's not immortal qi. It's some kind of aura that's mixed with immortal qi. In essence, it's still in the form of jade spirit qi. However, its purity is much higher than the original spirit qi in the black-yellow great world. This kind of spirit qi can be directly absorbed without refining. Jiang's was sucked the high-grade spirit qi into his body, and it naturally fused into his limbs and bones. Then, with a tremor, dozens of ancient mammoth seeds awakened one after another. Just a mere jade spirit qi has such a powerful effect. What exactly is this formation platform? Jiang Chen looked at the formation platform that had suddenly appeared in the void in front of him. He was a little puzzled. Could it be the great change that Ant said is about to come? Suddenly, Jiang Chen remembered the words Jiang Ningxue had left for him in Nalanda Temple. At that time, Jiang Ningxue had said that a great change was about to happen in the black-yellow great world. The great change would bring great danger to the person who possessed it. He thought of Mount Tai and the abyss in the western desert Buddhist land. Jiang Chen had reason to believe that the formation platform that had suddenly appeared here was an existence similar to Mount Tai and the abyss. It was a sign. There was even a possibility that it was even more mysterious than Mount Tai and the abyss. After all, when Jiang Chen was in Mount Tai and the abyss, he hadn't breathed in the high-grade spirit qi from before. In Mount Tai there is Qiyu. In the abyss there is the Buddha demon Bo Sun. Then what will this formation platform contain? Jiang Chen looked at the formation platform. For a moment, a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. This enormous formation platform should be somewhat different from the one that sealed the demons in Mount Tai and the abyss. It seems to be an incredibly advanced transportation formation. Jiang Chen became more and more puzzled. He felt that he wouldn't be able to get anything useful from this speculation alone. Unless there was more information. While Jiang Chen was thinking, the shocking 7 riches suddenly appeared. First, all of a sudden, a strange change occurred in the huge array platform. The entire array platform began to buzz and vibrate. A pitch-black hole suddenly appeared in the center of the formation. It exuded the same aura as immortal qi. Then 12 white tokens suddenly appeared at the entrance of the cave. Following a loud buzzing sound, the tokens shot out in all directions. Chapter 275. Although the two of them appeared to be evenly matched on the surface, Mu Yuntang and the others were able to tell that Mu Hanyu had the upper hand in the previous exchange. My name is Luke Warden. What was bad was that this Jing Jian seemed to be holding back. On the other hand, Mu Hanyu was already going all out. Idiot. Even at this moment he still has tender feelings for the fairer sex. Jing Nan looked at Jing Jian on the stage and scolded him in his heart. Although Jing Jian was extremely talented and his cultivation had already reached a shocking height at such a young age, Jing Nan was very clear about his weakness. Being addicted to women was his greatest weakness. Jing Nan was worried that he would stumble when it came to women. The previous attack could have knocked Mu Hanyu off the stage. However, Jing Jian was worried that he would injure Mu Hanyu. Therefore he only used 90% of his strength in the end. Sister Yu, I have still underestimated you. Jing Jian calmed down the churning blood in his chest. He felt a little uncomfortable when he had held back earlier. However, Mu Hanyu's situation wasn't any better. She had used all her strength to block the previous attack. Now, the star energy in her body was on the verge of exhaustion. Mu Hanyu didn't reply. She knitted her brows and continued to circulate her cultivation technique. She hoped that she could quickly recover the star energy in her body. Sister Yu, you are no match for me. It seems like the gap between us is getting bigger and bigger. Jing Jian smiled gently. However, Mu Hanyu felt disgusted when she saw his smile. Mu Hanyu's eyes turned increasingly cold. The ice star energy within her body gathered on her palms without any reservation. Her jade-like palms suddenly turned transparent. Streams of ice-cold qi that were visible to the naked eye rose from her palms. A heart-palpitating fluctuation was emitted from her palms. What kind of move is this? It seems very powerful. This should be Mu Hanyu's final trump card. Everyone on the stage was intimidated by Mu Hanyu's aura. This little girl actually managed to comprehend this move. Mu Yuntang sighed inwardly. The powerful ripple that spread out finally caused Jing Jian's expression to gradually turn solemn. This attack was something that even he had to use all of his strength in order to block. We can't let her continue like this. Zheng Jian also made a prompt decision. He waved both of his palms and sharp palm winds whistled through the air toward Mu Hanyu, who was condensing the power of the stars. This time he finally did not hold back because he knew that if he still showed mercy to the fairer sex, the one who would be defeated would be him. Mu Hanyu's beautiful eyes widened as she stared at Zheng Jian who was charging towards her. Her beautiful hair fluttered in the wind and she looked like a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. Her ice-cold beauty caused everyone present to hold their breaths. The star energy of heaven and earth on the fighting stage suddenly boiled. Waves of powerful star energy fluctuations suddenly swept out from Mu Hanyu's body like an ice-cold wind. The heart-palpitating fluctuations immediately caused the expressions of countless people to change. Frost arts, descent of the ice god. Even in the Mu clan only a few people knew about this move. It was the last move of the frost technique. Its power was terrifying and unimaginable. However, Mu Hanyu's cultivation was limited. It was very difficult for her to unleash the full power of this move. Although its power was shocking, the difficulty of cultivating it was also very high. It required the cultivator to have an extremely high cultivation talent. After so many years, the number of people who had comprehended this move in the Mu clan did not exceed 5. In an instant, whispers could be heard in the Grand Plaza. Many astonished gazes looked at Mu Hanyu. Obviously, they did not expect that she would be able to trigger such a shocking attack. As this move was unleashed, Mu Hanyu's beautiful face turned deathly pale. The cold aura around her became even more obvious. Zheng Jian circulated the star energy in his body to the extreme. In the blink of an eye he appeared in front of Mu Hanyu. His palms carried a violent fluctuation as he ruthlessly chopped towards the latter. Mu Hanyu's eyes became brighter as she looked at the palms that were rapidly enlarging in her eyes. Her gaze became incomparably cold. An illusory ice-cold figure appeared behind her. It was the crown prince of the supreme grade city. Mu Hanyu suddenly pointed her finger at Zheng Jian. That ice-cold figure actually raised his hand and slapped it towards Zheng Jian. Boom! The entire fighting stage shook as if there was an earthquake. The cracks that were originally there expanded rapidly. They spread across the entire stage like a spider web. An earth-shattering sound rang out, causing the spectators to feel as if their eardrums were about to explode. Terrifying energy ripples swept out like a storm from the point of impact. Gravel from the cracks on the table flew in all directions, and some even shot onto the surrounding stone seats, beating some unlucky people until their noses were bruised and their faces swollen. The violent star energy fluctuations continued to sweep out, causing the spectators to suck in a breath of cold air. 2 juniors who had yet to reach the third-order realm were actually able to cause such a commotion. Some of the initial third-order realm experts were extremely shocked. They knew that they might not be able to reach such a level. Who won? I don't know. It seems to be a draw. The 2 of them are so young but they are actually so strong. The spectators on the stone seats discussed the situation on the stage in soft voices. As this star energy ripple swept out, a figure also shot backwards. Both of his legs were deeply embedded in the competition stage, directly rubbing out a deep gully that was over a foot deep and over 100 feet long on the ground. Only then did he manage to stabilize himself miserably. Pfft. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Countless gazes were cast towards that figure and all of them sucked in a breath of cold air. That figure was Zheng Jian. The entire plaza fell into silence. He won. Mu Hanqing muttered. Not yet. Qin Feng, who was standing by the side, looked at the stage with a grave expression and shook his head. On the other side of the stage, the blood within Mu Hanyu's body was churning violently at this moment. The previous attack had exhausted all of her star power. At this moment, her body had already reached a stage where it was like a lamp that had run out of oil. After all, with her current strength, it was extremely strenuous for her to use the descent of the ice god. Mu Hanyu's eyes were ice-cold as she stared at the miserable-looking figure. Waves were churning in her calm heart. Was she still unable to defeat him? Zheng Jian's legs were deeply embedded in the stage. Both of his sleeves were shattered and his head was buried deep in the ground. His hair was disheveled and there were droplets of fresh blood at the corner of his mouth. It was a ghastly sight. Ha ha! Intermittent laughter came from Zheng Jian's mouth. It was eerie and terrifying, causing the hair of those who heard it to stand on end. Mu Yuntang, Zheng Nan, and the others on the VIP stand were also nervously looking at the 2 people on the stage. Just now, the collision between the 2 of them was too intense. Even they couldn't easily determine who won and who lost. Everyone's gaze was focused on Zheng Jian. Everyone could tell that Mu Hanyu no longer had the strength to continue fighting. Even a rank 1-star warrior would be able to defeat the current her. As long as Zheng Jian could withstand the previous attack, the victory of this match would be his. However, no one knew if Zheng Jian could withstand Mu Hanyu's shocking attack or not. Sister Yu, you have lost. Zheng Jian slowly lifted his head and said with a sinister smile. A sinister look appeared on his pale face. Wow. The entire plaza was in an uproar as discussions broke out everywhere. Everyone could tell that although Zheng Jian had suffered serious injuries, his condition was much better than Mu Hanyu's. Bang! Mu Yuntang's hand that was holding the teacup finally couldn't control his emotions. The entire teacup was crushed into powder. The calm Zheng Nan revealed a joyful expression. Defeating Mu Hanyu meant that the champion of the Young Heroes competition was already in their bag. As for Song Ping and Qin Feng, although their strength wasn't bad, they still couldn't be compared to Zheng Jian. On the VIP stand, Mu Yuntang and Mu Chuandao's faces were gloomy. Although the defeat was expected, Mu Hanyu's defeat meant that the Mu clan's hopes were all placed on Qin Feng. If Qin Feng was also eliminated, then this Young Heroes competition would be even more miserable than the previous one. After all, Mu Hanyu had obtained second place in the previous competition. If no one participated in the finals this time, then the Mu clan's reputation would be swept to the ground. Sister Yu, I admit that you are strong. However, you are still no match for me. You should admit defeat yourself. Zheng Jian looked at Mu Hanyu and was a little surprised. He didn't expect the latter to be able to launch such a shocking attack. Fortunately, he interrupted her in time and prevented Mu Hanyu from unleashing the full power of her Descent of the Ice God. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stand on the stage like this. Mu Hanyu's body trembled slightly. However, a trace of ruthlessness flashed through her face as she said, Zheng Jian, you want to win against me like this? Aren't you thinking too simply? I believe that everyone here can see your current situation. Do you really want to force me to ruthlessly destroy a flower? This isn't what I want to see. Zheng Jian said with a smile. A trace of lust flickered in his eyes. He had fantasized about Mu Hanyu many times. However, due to her identity, Zheng Jian didn't have the guts to do it. This bastard, I'll kill him. Mu Hanqing was so angry that she jumped up and wanted to rush to the center of the plaza. What are you doing? The competition hasn't ended yet. Qin Feng hastily stopped her and pressed her down on her seat. I can't let him bully Sister Hanyu. Mu Hanqing and Mu Hanyu had a good relationship. When she saw Zheng Jian bullying Mu Hanyu, she was furious. Her eyes seemed to be emitting sparks. Calm down. You must believe in Sister Hanyu. Qin Feng patted her shoulder gently and comforted her. Then don't blame me. When Zheng Jian saw that Mu Hanyu wasn't willing to admit defeat, the astral energy seals on his palms gradually brightened and emitted a faint fluctuation of astral energy. Although this fluctuation was much weaker than before, it was still a huge threat to Mu Hanyu. Mu Hanyu clenched her teeth and a stubborn expression appeared on her face. She definitely wouldn't admit defeat so easily. Wait, the Mu clan admits defeat. Mu Yuntang suddenly stood up from the VIP stand and said faintly. At this moment he had no choice but to stand up. With Mu Hanyu's current condition, it was impossible for her to receive Zheng Jian's attack. If anything happened to her, he wouldn't be able to answer to Patriarch Mu Qianlang. He knew that Mu Qianlang doted on his granddaughter very much. Since Mu Yuntang had spoken, Zheng Jian naturally couldn't continue to attack. He immediately dispersed the starlight seal and said to Mu Hanyu, Sister Yu, thank you for letting doting on wicked wife read the entire text. Mu Hanyu's defeat also meant that the champion of the youth competition had fallen into the hands of Bright Moon Hall. No one thought that Song Ping and Qin Feng would be Zheng Jian's match. Zheng Jian was still the best of the younger generation in Soaring Dragon City. On the third day, Qin Haoyuan and his wife were invited by Mu Chuandao for a meeting while Qin Feng practiced the air-splitting palm that Qin Haoyuan had taught him. He found out from Qin Haoyuan that the top 10 in the coming-of-age ceremony would be able to cultivate the clan's superior quality star techniques. The first place would even be able to choose a superior quality profound quality star technique. That was a huge temptation to him. There was only one reason why the Mu clan could become one of the 4 major forces in Tianfeng County. It was because they had a strong foundation and could nurture batches of talents. In order to nurture talents, one had to have enough wealth and star techniques. Sometimes star techniques couldn't be bought with money, especially the higher the level of star techniques, the more priceless they would be. The Mu clan had one set of mediocre quality star techniques, 3 sets of inferior quality star techniques, 10 sets of superior quality star techniques, and more than 100 sets of mediocre quality and inferior quality star techniques. Even in the Fire Dragon dynasty, that was considered a good number. Back then, Qin Haoyuan risked his life during the coming-of-age ceremony because he wanted to be rewarded with a set of inferior quality star techniques. In the Mu clan, the superior quality star techniques and inferior quality star techniques were used as rewards to encourage the clan members to cultivate them. Only the most outstanding disciples could get the opportunity to cultivate the mediocre quality star technique. Qin Feng had once begged Qin Haoyuan to impart his set of superior quality star techniques to him, but Qin Haoyuan turned him down. The cultivation of superior quality star techniques in the clan had to be approved by the inner elders, while inferior quality and mediocre quality star techniques had to be approved by the clan leader and the inner elders. Although Qin Haoyuan had been expelled from the clan, he still dared not break the rule. As Qin Feng executed the air-splitting palm, the fluctuations of star power erupted from the star power vortex in Qin Feng's energy center, causing a series of vortexes in the air. All of a sudden, the sand and stones in the courtyard flew and the withered leaves danced wildly. It was a rather spectacular sight. At this moment, a black shadow darted from the sky towards Qin Feng's back like a meteor. Air-splitting palm shatters gold. Qin Feng suddenly condensed the power of the stars and slapped that black shadow to the ground with a palm. After taking a closer look, he realized that it was a hollow bamboo ball. However, the hollow bamboo ball had now been smashed into pieces by the palm strike. This scene happened to be witnessed by a group of youths who had barged into the courtyard. They were instantly infuriated. "Brotherly, that kid broke our ball." "Who's that kid? He doesn't look familiar." "Who cares who he is? Beat him up for breaking our ball." The leader of the group was quite tall. He was half a head taller than the surrounding youths. His exposed muscles also showed his powerful physical strength. The youth sized up Qin Feng and said, "Kid, what's your name? How come I've never seen you before?" Hearing the youth's address, Qin Feng became angry. However, the other party had many people, so he had to endure it. He said, "Qin Feng from Fengling Town. I'm here to participate in the clan's coming-of-age ceremony. Sorry, I'm willing to compensate you with a bamboo ball." When the group of youths heard Qin Feng's name, it was as if a pot of boiling oil had exploded. "Qin Feng, I've heard of him. He's the son of the trash who was expelled from the clan. I heard that they were once forced into a corner by a little martial master from the 7 Stars Martial School and came to the clan for help. Later, it was Uncle Li who helped to solve it. With his appearance, he still wants to participate in the coming-of-age ceremony. It seems that he has just advanced to the 2nd rank." Listening to the group of youths ridicule, Qin Feng's anger rose from his heart. He clenched his fists and his small face flushed red. However, a wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Therefore, he still suppressed the anger in his heart. However, the group of youths seemed to have seen Qin Feng's anger and did not have any intention of stopping. Instead, they all laughed at him. "Look, he still wants to fight. He's really overestimating himself." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.